I would like to call this.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would like to call this meeting to order of the Moab Area Travel Council Advisory Board on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Joining us today, if everybody could just state if you have any conflicts of interest, disclosures, ex parte communications today. Awesome. And if we could just quick go around the room so we can identify ourselves. We're not going to do our board reports till the end of the meeting. I'm Lori McFarland, chairperson of TCAP.
Rebecca Monso, sales manager of Element Moab.
Ben Federgill, director, Moab Office of Tourism.
Allie Harford, assistant marketing director at Moab Office of Tourism.
Ben Alter, assistant director.
Nick Saleta, assistant director.
Art Trenholm, board member.
Wendell Williams, TCAP board member.
Vika Metzner, director of the Moab to Monument Valley Film Commission. I will not be staying this whole meeting, just so you know, if I bail.
Ashley Kornblatt, Moab Chamber of Commerce, Western Spirit Cycling board member.
Hans Borszewski, board member.
Sharon Kingsley, board member.
And we also have our county commissioner, county attorney, Stephen Stocks with us, and Stephen Bowles also with us. And online, we have Brian Martinez. Go ahead, Brian.
Yep, Brian Martinez, Grand County Commissioner Liaison.
Great, we hear you very well.
Good sharp.
Yeah.
I was going to say, looking spiffy, woo!
You in DC?
And
Yeah, I'm
we
in
also-
DC right now.
It looks like we also have Tammy Howland.
Yes, Tammy Howland, Airport Director.
Awesome. Just to, do we have any citizens to be heard today?
I'm seeing
Online or anywhere else? Okay, great. Just for opening items, we have 21 items. And if we distribute our time of 120 minutes, that gives us 6 minutes for each item. A couple of these items will be a tiny bit shorter than that, but you'll notice we put a lot of the important housekeeping right up front so we can power through that. If you please know that I am still figuring out the whole Robert's Rules of Order, and just raise your hand and I will try to do my best to recognize everybody and hear from everybody that we possibly can. Item number one, entertain a motion to approve the February 14th minutes from our TCAP Advisory Board emergency meeting.
Move to approve.
Ashley moves to approve,
I'll second.
and second, Ashley by Wendell.
Quick question, Rebecca, were you at the emergency meeting? Okay.
Say it again, please. Okay. Item number 3.
Take a vote.
Oh, yes, that's right, we should vote. That would be a really good idea, sorry. All in favor of approving those minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, thank you. Item number 2, appointment to the Board of Representatives for the Grand County Airport Board. Alex Borszewski has been participating as our liaison for the last year and graciously has brought Howard Trenholm into the mix and helped to do some orientation and handoff. And I would like to appoint Howard as our new liaison to the airport board. Thank you for being willing to serve. That doesn't require a vote. It's just an assignment.
Thank you, Howard.
Yes, thanks a lot. And I really want to say, I really appreciate that Alex made the effort to have that handoff be so nice and smooth. It's really nice that is definitely a wonderful personality trait. Okay, number 3, Moab Office of Tourism renaming. We just have asked Stephen Stocks to make sure that if you could please just give us a quick review and let us know if we're doing all of this legally and legitimately, rather than have to do a redo of some sort. And Stephen, would you feel comfortable addressing that?
Just for the name change?
Yes, the Moab Office of Tourism renaming, we want to make sure we're on board in all the right ways.
So essentially, you're just going to be making sure that the name's placed on all of the items that it should be normally on. When the county commission changed from the commission form, from the council form to the commission form, there are many, many documents that have council on it, that still have council on it today. We don't necessarily go out and scrub everything for council. We just, going forward, we know what it was previously called and what we're going towards. So as those things come up, best efforts to try to make adjustments and changes as you go along. Everything from simple, when you put out the brochures, when you buy the stuff, the logo changes, name changes, everything else. That's really it. Nothing too exciting. Make sure contracts just have the proper name. Everything else is perfectly fine. And then just try to remember, people slip up. To this day, people sometimes call it the commission or the council instead of the commission. Just keep an eye for it. Nothing too exciting.
So in our bylaws, do we need to do something formal or?
If there's a reason to change your bylaws, a lot of times we won't just go in to just change that one thing. So if there are other things to go in and change, if we're going to put it before the commission, it would be wise to maybe say, hey, look, note it, flag it, and then in the future go back and make those changes. So for example, we have to re-execute all the previous contracts we made for everything from billboards to marketing, whatever. No, but when it comes up, make the adjustments and changes.
Awesome.
Very reasonable strategy.
So we can change letterheads and things like that?
Yeah.
We're good to go?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I don't believe any voting is required there now that we have that clarification. Item number 4, Moab Area Travel Council Advisory Board name. Do you want to?
Yeah, this was
Speak to that.
basically just in, and it's not necessary. It's more of a joint decision of what we think. Since the Moab Office of Tourism has changed, and there's not an official travel council anymore, that maybe we should be more reflective of the Moab Office of Tourism. So it was just, thinking was to be aligned with that office more rather than being a travel council, which has a lot of, sounds more like a council. So being, we put a few things there, being maybe the Moab Tourism Advisory Board or something along those lines. And this is just a discussion to decide if that's the direction we'd like to go.
I'd open that up for some discussion.
I just make a move to call us Moab Tourism Advisory Board. MTAB.
MTAB, not MOTAB.
MTAB, yeah.
Okay.
I know we branded as the Moab Office of Tourism, but maybe the Moab Area Advisory Board, because it does feel very Moab focused. I know one of the commissioners mentioned that in the meeting last week, why it wasn't the Moab area. But
And
maybe
AB instead of,
Be MAT.
MATAB,
Yeah.
Out.
MTAB.
MATAB.
MOTAB.
I mean, we have the problem at the chamber, and in formal stuff, we say Moab Area Chamber of Commerce, but in colloquial chit chat, we just say Moab Chamber. And so, I don't know.
so we have a motion on the table by Alex to approve
MTAB.
MTAB. Is there a modification of that, a second?
Sorry, is the T for travel or tourism?
Tourism.
Okay, great.
So it's that last one on that thing, Moab
Oh, got it.
Tourism Advisory.
Great.
I second that.
Okay.
That makes the most sense.
Second. Would you like to have additional discussion here? Want to call for
I
a
just want to
vote?
reiterate with Stephen really quickly. So this is, again, it's not necessary and we can change the bylaws but this isn't a necessary change. It's just something that we are trying to be more in line with the Moab Office of Tourism.
Correct. There's no obligation to make any changes. I think you guys are currently the, help me on your name, TCAP,
Moab area.
Moab Area.
Yeah.
I think that still, people would still understand that you're advising. Would it be, one day when you're cleaning things up to adjust it? Sure. Is it absolutely necessary right now? No. But it does help when you're more in line with the entity that you're providing advice to. And so when people, again, I try to think of it like everybody in this room is pretty savvy about government. You know about OPMA, you know about all these things. If somebody wants to find you guys, would they know to call you what you're called now to get to where you're at? And again, we try to make it as easy as possible, and acronyms and names are supposed to be fun and cute, but is it absolutely meant to reach you? No.
I would call for a vote on naming the Travel Council Advisory Board, the MTAB, Moab Travel Advisory Board,
Tourism Advisory.
Moab Tourism Advisory Board, MTAB. It's going to take a minute, but we're going to, all in favor?
Brian?
That's, he's
Oh,
not.
he's not
he's
voting. That's right, he doesn't vote.
I'm not a voting member.
No, no worries.
Okay. Awesome. On to item number 5. Alex and Wendell and Ashley had a subcommittee where they discussed goals, strategies, etc.
With Jason Taylor and Brian.
Apologies,
Martinez.
Jason Taylor and Brian also. Sorry about that. And Alex was in charge of that subcommittee, and so if you could do a review of what maybe 4 or 5 items that you came up with that you'd like to have as our 2025 goals. Are you
Sure,
okay
yeah,
with
we
taking over?
spent a couple hours together. Brian was on virtual for an hour. He had some, just a little bit of time for us. We talked about a lot of different things. Got a little off, I don't know, off topic, but we went on some tangents, for sure.
At the end.
Yeah, we definitely went on some tangents. We talked about, I think, a little bit more about just general goals for our marketing strategy and things. So we came back around to like more of like TCAP, like what, or MTAB now, like what kind of goals do we want to see for the advisory board here for the year. And some of what we talked about here were a couple different things. So as far as the like marketing stuff, we talked about extended stay, work on return guests, creating a sustainable economy, increasing spend and networking activities, strengthening the customer connection, like setting expectations for our customers, community involvement and local sentiment, working on the structure of those things, trying to welcome everyone, and having good board reporting to our commission. So that was some of our goals there. And some of the things that I thought about as far as the board itself having goals for the year is, love marketing plan and strategy for this year and beyond, including a fall campaign, working on that we get our branding all set, metrics for sure, get our website up and running, and gaining local trust, I think, is a really big deal. And we're, just get our marketing plan for Contour and new flights adopted and run. And I definitely like what was already in the agenda packet. So creating the parameters for the board reporting, review style for the best practices, looking over some of the other DMOs out there. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at them, but I thought that the metrics from the Jackson Hole, Jackson Hole Travel and Tourism Board, their data and reporting had a really good interface and really thorough and comprehensive list of metrics. So I advise everyone to take a look at that and see if we can, parallel their ideas and website there. So metrics, I think, is going to really give us a great idea on how to move forward. We keep talking about how that's going to help us move forward. So I think that's one of our biggest goals, is to just get our metrics up and running. Back to notes here. I think that's about, a little more of a question. We didn't really touch on in our subcommittee, but the Trails of Tomorrow, are we attempting to adopt that or not, or where do we stand with that?
As a board or as a community?
As the commission, county?
Well, the Economic Development Committee is working on sort of boiling it down to a amendment to the general plan. So we've been working hard on taking it and making sure it's really for Moab and sort of getting the core things in that. And they're pretty straightforward. It's really just focusing on how our community depends on access to quality recreation. That's got to happen. We've got to have that. And coming out, throwing in the facts that they put in there. So that's happening already, and that will go from the Economic Development Committee to the Planning Commission to the Commission, and we'll see how that goes. And that might be all that needs to really be done. I mean, when you get those strategy documents, what you want to do is use them to influence your tactical decisions and your yearly goals, that kind of thing. And I feel like we kind of are doing that. So I would say that we don't need a formal anything. We're taking what we want out of that and using it. But is there a reason to have a formal?
The only thing I would add, Alex, is two pieces that were done at that visitor study and the business study were decent baselines. And so there is the opportunity, if we want to go back with our RC and do a second version. We've got tourism economics in the budget if we couldn't do it a different way. Or maybe that becomes something that we give to a firm that's doing a branding effort before they go do their own piece. So that piece is in it. In terms of the initiatives, they were being decided well down which one to follow with the Economic Advisory Board. There was a piece that they did not solve for that we're solving for in our office that is key that we'll talk about in our metrics. So I think going through it, you decide if there's stuff in there, but I think the two basic things are those studies, give a baseline we could use as a
Right.
baseline.
I guess I would suggest, I noticed that they're like in their study, they tried to do a couple studies in May for the locals and like no one showed up. It's probably because every single person was working.
Yeah, actually,
so I feel like,
yeah, that's an interesting one. I'll come back to you offline on that.
yeah, it's like if you're gonna do a local study, do it in December.
It's study fatigue. They could have done it anytime. I think we would have no number.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's it. Do you have anything to add about subcommittee?
I don't know if there's like a concrete list you wanted to, is this something we need to agree as a group? Or like what the
It
overall
seems to me
goals
that
are?
we didn't put that in the agenda as far as specific goals. Like if we could put 3 or 4 of those goals in the agenda so we can vote on, do we agree, do we not agree, do we go from there? Is that, Stephen, are you listening to that by chance?
Generally, when you have a big topic, you can make decisions how you guys want. I mean, as long as public has provided sufficient notice, if the title is goals for the year, you guys are you've well notified the public that you may be making decisions on those goals, and the public chose not to show up. So that would be perfectly fine to
So we can move forward and pick some
take
goals.
action on them if you like.
I feel like,
Or we can go back to subcommittee and come up with like a direct goals.
Recommendation, yeah.
And come back to the MTAP
okay.
with those in like, so.
I would say if we have 3 to 4 concrete goals,
Mhm.
it will be April by then, so we'll do those goals, and
I just feel like it's gonna take a lot of time right now that we don't really have.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the purpose of the goal, just to remind us, is that when opportunities come in to us from different directions, you have the goals to measure them and say, wow, that fits, or that doesn't fit. And that's really the reason you're doing it. And right now, we're drinking from the fire hose, just trying to catch up. So I think it's okay to push it till April, and then it's gonna be something we can use really through this year and next as we look at opportunities. So, and I think it'd be really productive to have one more subcommittee meeting and we can boil it down.
Yeah, I think, and to that point, the goals were the framework, and then we start working on the strategy from those agreed to goals.
Yeah,
Awesome. How?
I'm happy with those as long as they're measurable, and that will tie into the TRT reports and such. But I think it's good to have actual hard number that we can say, did we do it or not? And that's really in the collections, because that's our bottom line.
Good input. I would say maybe entertain a motion to not table, but to postpone till the next meeting.
Yeah, Yeah, make a motion to work, go back to subcommittee and come up with, let's say, 4 hard goals for MTAB.
Still hasn't, yeah.
Hasn't been yet.
Take a while.
And we'll come back to April meeting with some more information for everyone.
Excellent.
Second.
All in favor of postponing to the next meeting? That's unanimous.
So I'll start making a date right now.
Okay, and you had also mentioned meeting
What's that?
to workshop.
Oh,
Wanting to set that up as a possible workshop prior to the next meeting.
well, we talked about, Lori and I thought about how can we just get some more of our ideas out and progress our meetings. And so if we have time and availability, those who are available, maybe an hour before our normal meetings, workshop for future considerations so that we can come up with maybe some ideas of our agenda for the following meeting, the day of our meeting. So maybe that would help to, get some of the balls rolling just for the next meeting. So if anyone wants to do a workshop an hour before, so starting at 2:00 on our regular meetings, Tuesdays, and then we could do like future agenda items and then just have a discussion for whatever is pertinent at the time.
It's a little bit more free flowing other than the.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be super structured, it's just discussion.
I realized that we're actually 2 boards in one. That we're not only the Moab Advisory Board for Tourism, but we're also the Tax Advisory Board. And I wonder if we need to create a separate set of goals for that side of the board, the allocation of the tax dollars, if you will. And maybe that keeps these 2 kind of distinct.
We kind of think it's the same thing, isn't it?
Well-
Spending the money is the allocation, or?
The Tax Advisory Board is how we tell the commission our advisements of how they spend all the tourism taxes,
Which is also true.
which is part of our
So
board's role too.
perhaps in our goals, we
Except
could
from the
make
marketing campaigns.
some clear goals about how we want to address, because it seems like it's a little muddled usually in about October, November, like, how do we want to do this?
Right.
You could look at that also as possibilities.
Yeah, Howard, I think that's a great idea, for the commission is to start that conversation early so that you do start putting forth what you guys are looking for that spend next year. It'll also provide some of those departments maybe a little bit of insight as we kind of move forward as well.
All right, since we have voted and unanimously decided to deal with the goals in the April meeting, let's go to item number 6, the Moab Office of Tourism goals for 2025. If we could look at the visual, if some of you want, we have a couple of these packets distributed so that you can see the Moab Office of Tourism goals. And if we could have possibly, I know it's only 6 minutes, but if Ben Frederick can tell us a little bit about the Moab Office of Tourism Department goals for 2025, happy to.
What page is that? I saw it.
9 to 11.
Okay.
We go in 6 minutes. Lori?
What page is it?
9.
9.
Okay, so does everyone have what they need in front of them?
Yeah.
Or if you've got the visual here. then-
So,
Yeah.
our DMO goals, infrastructure goals, what we used to call the BHG or the big messy goal, is number 1 is to get a web platform installed. So our simple view, that's a major dependency. That's the hub of the wheel. So it's big, but it's got a lot of detail under it. And this team, Ally, make it work very, very hard to keep it on track, on time, working with simple view. So a lot of effort there. The other one that is important just for basic DMO structure is to get a PR firm hired. And we're in the RFP process, and I appreciate that, but this one, it'd be nice to move very quickly on this. This is one that we're missing opportunity on. A new branding effort, that's the bigger one that we'd like to get an agency identified and a branding effort in place, but I think that's like a strategic plan. That one needs to be done well, done once. So, more to come on that. In terms of our own measurement goals, for right now, we have been working on a baseline visitation model. And that sounds really simplistic and simple, but it's taken a while to get to the model. It's something that the Trail to Tomorrow couldn't do. And what we want to do is take that, since we figured out how to figure out a denominator, and put that under a numerator, which is TRT and TRCCA collection. The reason that's important is it at least gives us a measurement by visitor, or a spend by visitor metric. That's a very important metric when we're applying for the co-op. We learned that in the in-person interview. It's the one thing we didn't show up with because we didn't think we could measure it accurately enough. So we built a model. Stephen Vowles is helping us. He is validating the tax collection with the state to make sure we're not just putting in a big macro number, but we can workshop this and show you how we're coming up with the baseline number. The things that's positive about that is it correlates directly to TRT collection and TRCCA. We won't use sales tax as part of that because the local population also contributes to the sales tax. It's not an indicator, but this gives us a baseline, something that we can see how it's flowing. As you can imagine, the team pointed out that this is also a contradictory metric because let's say we were to go and attract more bus tours or something. We've just grown our denominator and taken that number down. But it's a stretch goal. If we can look at this number and start saying, well, let's take that number and make our efforts to increase this spend number by an arbitrary 2%. That means we're either doing it by marketing efforts that lengthen the average length of stay. Maybe we're doing a better job getting people into activities where they're renting OHVs or going on horse rides. It won't necessarily translate to the restaurant and that tax, but we'll see it in other places. So, and that's when if we're measuring it and we're doing it wrong, we'll make a course correction and come back with a compelling argument that we have the wrong metric. But at least it puts a flag in the ground and gives us something to measure and strategize off. Okay, so
one second on that right there, Ben, is I believe that's already been set. I mean, Ken C. Gardner seems like it puts that average visitor spend up on its yearly reports right there. And then the 2% right there, I don't think that's adequate. We've been in a decline for 3 years, right, on our visitor spend right now, and the state average is at 6%.
And Howard, we'll come back to you and how they're figuring that because we've looked at that and we're wondering how that number gets figured on an average like that. But we're also, the argument for our metric here is being a gateway community. We aren't seeing the same thing like a Summit County where people show up for the day but they stay in the next county. We have a captive audience, so we want to say let's go measure because we don't have this metric other than from Ken C. Gardner or a bigger entity. Let's see what's happening actually here based on our STAR reports, our destination reports, and build it off our true numbers. So that's where we're going with that.
Has the Grand County Commission given us a target of what we need to grow by?
You've not given us a
Yes. During the economic, the subcommittee with myself, McCandless, and Mary McGann, we set a target of 6%.
I would
So
say
you want a 6% spend and 6% growth.
Well,
That is correct, 6%.
I think be called on, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna, I agree. We definitely need to start looking at the number of visitors and the average visitor spend the way you have that here. But in the short term, given the fact that our growth has been so bad and that the U.S. Travel Association has projected 3.9% growth in visitor spend this year, and the state's saying 5 to 6% growth in visitor spend this year. I'm just wondering why we are only doing 2% when the state and the national it's like less than half of what the national average is going to be.
so. We're also looking at forecasts that say that, for instance, at ITB, international travel to us is going to decrease 5%.
Yeah, that's been revised
Delta
down.
today just lowered their Q1 forecast. So it's a starting point for us. It's how, if we can get the spend number and start trying to turn the knob up 2%, I mean, we can always change the percentage.
Since
Yeah,
we have
and that's-
baseline of sales tax for the last 10 years, and that has been contributed to by our local community, why can we not use sales tax as an additional measure of, I mean, locals spend money also.
We can add it in, Lori,
Okay.
but it doesn't directly correlate to the visitor number. It may, but it may not. I mean, we also know that we have a lot of recreators that come here and don't spend in the county. So what my argument is, my argument is that if we go off just the TRT and the TRCC, we can start saying, hey, recreator, if you're coming here, don't bring your coolers of food. Shop in our stores. There may be a marketing effort around that. That's the idea there, that it gives a lever for strategy.
Awesome. Brian, did you have something you want to say? Then I'll hear from Howard.
Yeah, just real quick. So with that 2%, to hear things like ITB and things that have happened so recently on this right here, when you were setting your marketing budget back in, November, right, I would imagine that you would have had some kind of number or some kind of target that you would have been shooting for back then.
Oh, we didn't base it on a visitor number because there was not a visitor number. We based it on being asked to up our marketing effort. That we were asked to give a big number based on the voice back that this office had not spent enough in the last couple of years, that it had been anti-marketing instead of proactively marketing.
And did you have a target based on that?
We had a number, but as I say, the actual TCAB at the time said, if you had another $1 million to add, what would you do? And we said, love. And our agency said we'd place more placements. So it was asked.
But I mean, in terms of like percentage, anything to, I think setting goals, I think it's important that we benchmark our counties against national, state, and other communities like ours in the state. I think that it's important to have some benchmarks, because otherwise we're just pie in the sky type thing.
Well, so I'll explain, we're defining the measurements. So we did not walk into a set of measurements that were in place when I came in. So, and we can delta off other, we do that with the Office of Tourism, but instead of just saying how many clicks and views, we're actually giving something that says, let's put some strategy against trying to increase the visitor spend.
I think right now, what's most important, it's great to drill down to the different types of visitors and the average visitor spend, but right now we just need to, in the interim, look at total spend growth as a goal, because that's kind of the most critical goal in my opinion right now. And in terms of the sources of information, Ken Gardner, we've got the Utah State Tax Commission. They have the TRT, restaurant, vehicle, UTV. They've got all of that already available. So it's easy to kind of benchmark against those like from now.
Go ahead.
A couple of questions. I think we've got to be careful that we don't benchmark ourselves to a ski resort, for example. That we need Washington County just jumps out at me. They're very much a destination place too with Zion. They're a gateway community. There's a lot of similarities in that. Second question is, are we a member of the Utah Tourism Industry Association as a travel council? Can I ask, where do they get their numbers for occupancies that we can't access those?
I think it's the same destination board that we get. Out of Symphony, it's all the same.
Because we used to get those numbers. I just
we get them. However, we're not allowed to share them with you. We can show them to you in the office. We can't show them.
They're on our dashboard. They are live right now.
But the actual weekly destination.
The numbers we can share. We just can't share the spreadsheet. The moment we put it in another program.
It's not. You've looked at our website.
Forget mine.
No, it's okay. I just want everyone to know the numbers are there for the public.
But also just taking into consideration the adjusting for inflation, which if we're looking at 2%, that's barely covering the cost of inflation. And so I worry that 2% is not really a goal.
Like I said, we can change.
That's kind of a reality. We're looking at goals and trying to average.
Do you want a motion to
I
change
don't
it?
know.
Well, no, there's not a motion. I just think that he's giving us his goals, and I think, we need to-
And we're gonna do direction.
I'm giving you a measurement, a metric that we are gonna measure, that hasn't been measured. We also fall under UOT, who, with their strategy, and you see it in here, they're looking at reach, enriched bookings, and that which we show you with love, that comes to our love. But this is our role, so.
I would entertain a motion to direct the director to increase that to a level that you all feel is an acceptable level. That we're directing the director, not the staff.
I think when we're measuring actual performance, the room tax is not great measurement because it's a dynamic price point. Restaurant tax, on the other hand, is a really good measurement of how we're actually doing, because you can't just raise your prices on a whim in a restaurant in the evening. So tracking the restaurant tax is kind of an underlying case of the economy. And based on the numbers I've been given here, if you adjust these numbers for inflation, they're dreadful, because inflation has been averaging between 8 and 10% per year. And our growth in the restaurant tax is actually flat. So if you're just doing basic arithmetic, adjusted for inflation numbers shows that that sector is really declining.
So we're 5 minutes over, so let's keep wrapping up and go
I was just
forward.
going to say really quickly, if we could come to an agreement where we come with the baseline. So the U.S. Travel Association is predicting 3.9%, and the state is predicting between 5 and 6%. So do we have
Let's go with the
something in the
state.
middle?
No, let's go with
They're
what the
not-
state's recommending.
They're not predicting DMOs to drive that increase. A DMO is there to inspire people to come and make those transactions. We're not setting room prices. We're not selling a product. We don't sell. Again, I want to point out that says to do marketing efforts that enable and support trying to grow that.
Ryan, did I see your hand?
Yeah, but in the interest of moving this meeting along, I can hold my comments.
Ashley, did you have a comment?
Well,
You look like you're
I'm
raising your hand here real
confused.
quick.
I'm really confused about this conversation. And if we're unsatisfied with the goals that the director has set, we either need to understand better why he set them, and so maybe this is a workshop thing that we talk about at next meet. I don't know. I think I feel like people are we're going like this a little bit, and we just need to get on the same page. But so maybe there's a way to do that instead of either having a vote right now or just crushing the conversation. It feels like we need to be on the same page about this, and maybe we could address it in a workshop.
I would entertain a motion after Ben finishes with his MOT KPIs page. It looks like the rest is mostly examples. If we would like to direct the director in a different way, that's our job. And
Right.
so there we go. We can do exactly that. And at this point, this is the department goals, and that's what they're running with. If there's a problem with it, my guess is that the commission can address it, that we can address it, and we can work together. At this point, I want to just go ahead and, because it's not a voting item at this point, to vote on their goals. We just haven't heard what the goals are for 2025. So if we could just hear about the next level segment, we'll move on. The
Yep.
MOT KPIs.
Those are, you asked what our
Okay,
key performance indicators,
Okay,
that's what
yeah.
we're looking at.
okay. I just
Yeah,
want to cut you off and
No,
say,
no, no.
okay.
Super fast thing. Please consider that when you hire the branding and the marketing, when you hire those two RFPs, if somebody wants to apply for both, I think we should definitely consider them, because I've done it both ways, where you have a separate person doing those two things, and it's a lot more work to have two different firms that you're communicating all your goals and your messaging and everything to. If we could communicate all that to one firm that was doing both functions, I think that would be more efficient. So at least I get it that we have two RFPs, but maybe if somebody wants to do both, we should allow them to, we should consider it.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move to item number 7. What I would like to do is, in the interest of time, I would like to move item 9 up ahead of the Love Communications contract, because I feel like this one is gonna go really quickly and I don't want to run out of time. The public relations agent, does anyone have an objection to just moving 9 ahead? Okay. The public relations agency request for proposal, RFP. I just want to make sure before Ally gets started that this, Ben, as the director, this is what you are suggesting to move your department. We want to not interfere with your department, but this is your recommendation, is the best spend of money is to hire a public relations firm, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Ally, if you want to go ahead and present real quick on that one. Has everyone had a chance? I think everybody's read the RFP, which in my opinion is very well done. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, so the only thing that I would ask for like further clarification for you guys on is the evaluation criteria. I suggested expertise, cost, and evaluation of services provided, but I left that section up to the TCAB to ultimately decide how we evaluate these PR firms.
Ooh, that's really hard.
You can also direct
I
us
think we
to
just go on best
do that and
practices
fill
from
it out
other
and send it to you.
Well, I would argue that current best practices involve this persona thing that we've been dancing around and talking a little bit more, which is segmentation of the market and not spending tons of dollars trying to be everything to everybody in one type of message. And that I see as best practices. So I think that, and it's happening all over the place. A lot of people are using this. So if we, it's cutting edge best practices, so to speak, and especially applicable to Moab because we have such a broad product range. We want the people in the flip-flops to come and we want the people who are adventurers to come. And if you speak to them in the same voice, you're less effective with both groups. You're scaring away the flip-flop people with the crazy adventures and you're sub-optimizing with the other people too. So that would be that criteria of understanding personas and channeling these segments so that the spend gets spent in these different channels. Someone with that experience or at least gets it and appreciates that that is our challenge because that is our challenge.
And my hope would be before you propose to have a PR firm, you have an idea of what you want them to accomplish and how to measure that as a department. So I would say,
that's
yeah.
all listed out in the RFP. This is the evaluation criteria.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing you, Ashley, and that sounds like it would fall under evaluation of services provided. So we can list that out.
That'd be great.
Howard?
Just the devil's advocate question, is the role of PR not really kind of the role of the Office of Tourism to be that PR person in that office? I mean, that's my recollection of the past, that the director was basically the PR person for the
With PR for what happens with us, we can't manage what's written about us outside. We need a PR firm to boost that, package it and move it.
I believe they're talking about more about media, getting a lot more media coverage and exposure for Moab, and that person's going to be a professional knowing how to reach out to all their contacts in the media industries.
Exactly.
And what sort of budget do we have for this?
60,000.
60,000.
Yeah, so that's all written out in the RFP.
Which is not much, by the way.
Yeah.
That's very
It's
small.
contracts.
And I mean, I've spent that on a PR agent in a year.
It's about the par for a DMO our size.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think we can get a lot out of it, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
absolutely.
getting someone really good for that money will be good and it's a good start.
It was also the recommendation over a year ago from the previous TCAP. And we did try to boost stories that were coming that it is not right to boost them out of your own DMO. It doesn't work.
It's all about getting that objective voice. It's earned media that you're
Yeah.
trying to get.
I call for a motion unless y'all want to discuss this a little bit more.
I make a motion to approve the RFP presented by Allison for the public relations firm.
A second.
Awesome.
Call for vote.
Call for a vote, please. Thank you. I got to get this thing
All in
down.
favor?
Unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, unanimous.
All right, now we'll go back up to item number 7, Love Communications contract. We have thankfully Stephen Stocks here to give us some legal review and familiarization about Love contract. That we've had so many board members have questions and concerns that I am not the legal expert to answer. So we have invited Stephen Stock's here to give us an idea about where we're headed here.
Just for you guys' information, I haven't completed everything on the Love Communication contract. To give you kind of a broad overview, this is originally started off as a contract. It was in February 2023 that was originally approved. Then it was subsequently amended a few months later in 2023 again. And then we had another amendment, the second amendment last year, and now we're on the third amendment. In the contract, how it sits is a little different. When they're doing amendments, kind of the funky thing about it is normally when you think of an amendment, you change an element of it. So if I have a contract to get coffee from Wendell and I amend it to get orange juice from Wendell, that's an amendment. It's a shift, it's a change. But here what we're doing is we're really supplanting terms, brand new terms, and we're giving compensation for the previous terms. So what that means is we had an agreement for 2023, we would get certain deliverables. Those deliverables were given, we would make compensation, and now we would say, oh, 2024, we want a new thing. It's not necessarily that we're replacing what the consideration was in the contract. Instead, we're adding them on. So really, we're really trying to renew them, but we're calling it an amendment. And kind of one of the difficulties, and I think I got an email from Alex on this as well as others, one of the difficulties is we're kind of changing what the scope is, we're changing whether we're renewing it or amending it, and then we're adding on things with different pricing. And so all of those things combined, for the county for the past little bit, we've kind of seen contracts become a new focal point for my office, where we'll have terms of contracts extend, and then they'll end, and then we'll try to amend them after the fact. And the difficulty with that is really, if you're looking for an amendment, it should be done within the term of the contract. It's like, if I hire Wendell to give me coffee for a year and I paid him $1,000, then it would be for 1 year. Well, 5 months after it's gone through, I can't say, hey, Wendell, let's amend that contract for it to be orange juice. He'd be like, well, we're done. We've already finished that. So instead, you need to look at either engaging in a new contract. Now, can you do that? Yes, you can definitely do that with a contract. But in government, if you continue to have that process of letting a term die, we have an issue with letting people know about the opportunity to engage in a contract, that the contract's ongoing, things like that. So again, I look at it from Joe Blow in the public, who doesn't know much about government. If he might be waiting for the contract to expire for Loves, and then he goes, oh, exciting, the contract expired for Love. Now they're going to put it out for RFP or whatever. And I'm going to have an opportunity to put my name in, or I can protest, or I can do something to try to get that contract. Well, we haven't put it out for bid, and then not only the period's expiring, and then we're having a gap, and then we're doing an amendment. So going forward, I look at it, and probably what my likely recommendation is going to be is to either put it out for like an RFP or to clean up that process. Now, for this year, I think it's really hard to find somebody to assist in a last minute circumstance. So those are kind of the issues that we're wrestling with. That's what the conversation that I've been having with the commission administration, and just kind of looking at what our options are. In Utah, yes, you can execute new terms, new contracts, but with government, it's just a little, you really want to make sure it's transparent. And so if you let a contract expire, the person that technically contracted you with you previously shouldn't have a better opportunity of getting the contract over somebody else. So that's just it in a nutshell. So if you guys had particular questions about it, I can go into detail on some of it. I haven't issued a full written opinion of it. I know I've had questions about it. I know this department's asked me for it. They've been very patient. I've tried to follow up and get things moving as quickly as we can. And so that's kind of what we're looking at.
What is the time frame? Sorry, like if we do this amendment, like, I'm sorry, when would you recommend off the top of your head, or that we would do an RFP to replace it? Let's just say you're
last
going down that
October.
path.
Well, I mean, as soon as reasonably possible. I mean, they had some of their deliverables that were due. I think their final deliverables in each year, the amendments was December 31st of each year. And so that's when a lot of the deliverables were due. Now they have ad campaigns and co-op campaigns that kind of are fluid and run over a bit.
Right.
But yeah, whenever you put out an RFP, you want to give enough lead time. I mean, in this circumstance, if you we might be able to try to do something with Love this year, but then going forward, you want an RFP like.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can
Yeah,
separate.
I think that we need to get an RFP out ASAP. In fact, I think it should actually be our number one priority, is to get this RFP out for 2026.
Well, and if we're already doing RFPs for PR and branding, there may be the possibility that the firm there is an argument for having one firm do all of this. And so if they have capacity, and so, but I guess the other thing you kind of have to do is you can separate the physical transition of the work from your intention to hire a new person, just like you would when you're hiring a person and they're retiring and you're getting someone else for the job. Like we have decided to hire someone else that now we're going to work on this transition. But yeah,
I think.
Yeah, but there's also a lot to be said for specialties, right? So someone that is a specialist in PR, and then having the best person that we have for PR, and then having someone who specializes in ad placement, and having someone who's the best in that. So rather than trying to find, somebody who's average at all things, that might be better, the way that we're set up, to have the best in each specific little category.
But I think to
Okay, give me just a sec. Wait, just a second. Ben is next, and then you're next after that.
So just as an example, when we put out the RFP for the web platform, Love applied to the web RFP, and they were not chosen. They did not score high enough. It would have been very high priced, and there was better options. When we talked about doing PR, they had a PR offer, but it was very high price. So one-stop shop, we said, no, let's go RFP. We can do better. Our comparative DMOs are getting good service at a less price. So while yes, one-stop shop has advantages, it also has disadvantages. And I think we want the best in each function.
Go ahead, Wendell.
That's okay. No, I was just saying that the work can include, like in the RFP or that Love responded to, you saw the line item for public relations, you're like, no way. So there are opportunities to go specifically for that and for one shop. And then,
And also, Stephen, to just clarify, there's an amount, but that's a ceiling amount. That doesn't mean that this contract gets signed and we hand them a check. It means that they bill. We could stop it at any time. We could spend $200 next month and then say stop. We don't want to order. So this gives us a ceiling amount, but it does not give us a guaranteed amount that we write them a check.
And I need to know on the record, if when we invite Love, in the contract, it looks like they include advisory in their contract. When Love Communications is called for consultation, do we receive a bill for that?
We get billed for work, hourly work. This was an issue last year because we had people outside our department calling Love, and they said, hey, you got to quit having your board call us because these are billable hours and you're not approving them. So
Agreed.
we go in and pretty much only approve every project we're working with them.
So the answer is we do get an invoice or we don't get an invoice when they come and consult at a meeting.
No.
The answer is we do not get an invoice. Correct, Ben? I got to
No, we do not get an invoice for them attending. Like they were willing to come today. They were not going to charge us billable hours.
But if someone else in the community calls them for consultation, are they going to try to give your department a bill?
No.
Okay.
But they will tell us that they should only be talking to us, not others.
Go ahead.
They engage in
Pardon me 1 second. I do need some clarification on that, just looking at that contract. Did you just say, Ben, that Love is only allowed to talk to you and not to the travel council board?
Is last year we had people outside our department calling them that they finally said, hey, you guys, you got to stop that because we're being assigned work in this without us. So they don't take direction from outside our department to do billable hours. We have the budget for it.
Did you get clarification, Brian?
No, I did not, because I remember when I was reading that contract, and sorry, I'm traveling right now and I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I do remember that part of that contract is that they would provide resources for the Travel Council Advisory Board.
Go ahead, give it a shot.
They engage in what they call value billing. So they track all the hours that they give us and then they bill us. So they could bill us for any time that they give us, but generally they don't send on bills for that. So to your question, we have a weekly meeting with them on Mondays. They're not sending us a bill for that time. As I understand it, they could. They've also offered to show us that report of how much value we get out of this relationship, how much time they give us for essentially free to work on the other projects and the other billing, like advertising.
Well, it
That's
sounds
great, but
like-
Mick, my question and my issue is that's not defined inside of the contract. And I'm trying to figure out where they're able to charge us something that's not defined in the contract.
Okay, back
Go
around
out the
to,
invoices.
back around to legal review. That's clarification of who bills for what, how we get billed, if Love Communications is advising other departments, how is that?
They do have a clause in the contract that says that they put a limiting language in there for all services rendered, that there's a lump sum of money, and then it lines out, in the compensation section, it lists it out. You have a copy of it? Yeah, it's just under, oh, it's back. Nice work. Oh, it's getting tired. Yeah, so on 1A, it just has limiting language. It says county shall pay contractor and contractor shall accept from the county in full payment of services under this agreement the following compensation. And then they get 10% commission, marketing, creative, and then they go through. Now, whether they're gonna argue that those things are marketing or creative, that might be one of the arguments, but they don't have any ability to bill outside by putting the limiting language that they said, full payment for all services under this agreement. And then if you go through and look at all of the services rendered, I think they'd have a really difficult time arguing that that some of the things that they're doing wouldn't be encapsulated in that amount. But that's something that we can look at, and we can, you know, if that's a concern, we can pull invoices, we can look at the invoices and just make sure. Sometimes, I say this often, normally when you have a contract with somebody, most contracts get breached. But guess what? You try to resolve it. I mean, people don't want to go to the attorneys every chance they get. Generally, you try to find out, hey, maybe there's a miscommunication. It sounds like there was a miscommunication when people were reaching out to Love, and then Love was billing the county for it. The county's like, hey, look, that's not within the scope. So that does make sense. But if it's, you know, if it's a bigger problem and it needs to be addressed, I'm more than happy to look into it and kind of help make it so that we can address some of those issues.
Well, this is a classic board staff problem that members of the board can't go to the staff or the contractors without going through the director. That's normal.
Correct.
So we just need to be disciplined about that. Like, I would never call Love and ask them to do something, and no one should be doing that. If we have to act as a body and give Ben the direction, and then he gives the contractor and the staff. So it's normal.
Yeah.
So, given the fact that we've got this legal review, it sounds to me like that's out of our hands. My suggestion at this point, and I'd entertain the 2025 strategy, marketing, and media plan. And this is big. This is a really big thing. There's so many issues. I'm just going to assume that we're moving forward rather than have to do a brand new RFP. Maybe we'll get a 2025 contract with them. Maybe we won't. But at least we should address the things about the contract that we have objections to. And I'd open the conversation for those of you who picked through this contract. What are the parts that you are finding concerns with? What are the parts that you like? And we've got 5 minutes for that.
With the contract, I mean, I think, like you said, I'm in principle, I'm okay with many of the elements of it because we've been working with it for the last 3 years. One of which is the Visa Destination Insights. Don't we have our own agreement with them? So they've listed this as $5,000 in the contract.
So it renews on the state's fiscal year, so we will be renewing it again this year. And I renewed it through our office in the interest of getting the data back as soon as possible. But I think that assuming we continue with Love, They manage the rest of our data assets, so I think it would be wise when we renew the contract to have it go through them.
So, but wait, that's redundancy. Because how long does that extension, because you went to the commission and got an additional $5,000 for
So I had our visa renewed, but Visa Destination Insights, they backfilled the contract. So I had it renewed, and now that contract backdates to the beginning of last fiscal year. So we'll end at the end of June. And then we'll have the opportunity to renew for July 1st for the next fiscal year.
So it sounds like we need to cut that
So we
in
can
half.
just flag this as whether we renew our individual contract or have it done through Love.
It'll be the same price.
But then that would
But
be
then if Love is
extending
not-
till next June
not
of
till it's finished,
if
2026,
Love is
so
not
we're
doing this.
paying.
Before we were getting a co-op discount.
We still get,
I believe.
no, we still get a co-op discount. The $5,000 reflects that. Yes, if we're concerned that keeping it with Love could be a challenge, then we could definitely continue to contract it through the office.
All right, so that's a concern. that needs to be
Yeah, my only other
tackled
concern
possibly.
was that in contracts, there is an end date.
Yeah, that's my
And
question.
this is,
Correct.
they've been rolling this over and there is no, this is from this to this. This is, if it doesn't do by this, then we continue to go on.
So Stephen, back to
So
the
I
original,
think there needs to be an end date.
the original contract doesn't always end on December 31st.
Yeah, and it has some sections, like, for example, all their deliverables end at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So when we do, I think there's good odds that the county, based on my conversations with the county administration when this was raised, and commissioners can choose a different path. But my understanding is there is a strong preference for trying to continue with something this year, and likely that might be status quo, that might change. But then perhaps putting out an RFP, but yeah, cleaning up the language and yeah, just making sure whatever payments, whatever deliverables, whatever the scope is, I think it's just critical to kind of like narrow down on that.
Wasn't this basically going into the end of the 3-year opt-in? I mean, this was by design every year to do an amendment for 3 years.
Technically, they had in the contract, it was a renewal. So really what should be happening is that there should have been fresh terms added before the end of the year, every year, to say, hey, we're renewing the contract, it's December 2nd, and we're gonna, execute these additional changes, bang, 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 and then you know what you're getting for the next year. But they've missed some things in the contract, and they haven't, some of the things, whether they've delivered them on time, but it would just be that renewal period. It's almost like a lease. I like to think of it as a lease. We're in this period of kind of like month-to-month tenancy where they're doing stuff, they're there, we're there. We haven't defined the relationship yet. But the cleanest practice would be before it lapses, talk to them, say, hey, look, here's what we want for the next year, and sit down and do that.
Which is where we did change some of the terms, moving the date forward on the co-op, taking some of the data out.
Right. But just doing it, earlier.
Well, it seems like we're super out of compliance. It seemed to me like that term of the lease expired the 31st of December, and this should have been addressed back in December.
So yeah, for contracting parties, I mean, remember, it's the county's contracting with another entity. And so is it, illegal? No. But is it probably best county practices? Probably not. It would probably be better to have it be tightened up in an endless list, endless string instead of having breaks in it.
So
Okay, give me just a second. Nick had something you want to say, then
So I think
Howard.
there's an end date in the original contract, which is
Right.
December 31st, 2026.
That's if it had been renewed. And that's the tricky thing, because it says 3 annual renewals is the other part.
And then my other question, just for direction from you guys to us, is, this is how this has been operating, and I don't totally follow what's changed this year.
We want to do it right.
Okay.
And this year, there was
What was last year? What was wrong with last year's contract? And I also heard Ashley say we could sign this and RFP. So doing it
Yes.
right
This doesn't
could be,
keep us warm.
I mean, the
Right.
desire of the board is to continue to advertise. This is stopping that.
Correct.
So you could sign this and we could roll out advertising and we could continue with 2025's advertising efforts and also aspire to RFP to be price competitive with our advertising agency.
Sure.
And maybe re-up.
Exactly.
But have that be an exercise separate from the signing of this, which it is March.
Agreed. And we can move forward with that, but if our county attorney deems this an illegal contract and that should have been RFP'd, then at least we'll have had those moving pieces go. But what I'm trying to address right now is what parts of the contract are objectionable to the board. Yeah, go ahead.
So this hasn't been signed yet, is my understanding.
No, we're talking about recommending it.
Okay. And then has the marketing, what they're proposing here, has the board seen this prior to this meeting for the 2025 marketing? What was the money we're going to be spending from this unsigned contracts?
What we just put in
That's the
5
first you've
days
seen it.
ago.
Okay.
We put that in the attachments to
Yeah, I
this.
saw that, but that hasn't been seen by this board before. That.
No.
Okay.
No.
And was this available, was 2024's same strategy available? Because I was not able to find that anywhere either.
What was the question?
And who's the question to, Brian? I'm sorry, it wasn't available to me. I have.
Just to the board in general. So what we received from Love right now for 2025, basically, was that available to the board in 2024? Because I looked through past agendas and I could not find anything. And it's very hard to compare this year to previous years when I don't have any kind of data for any kind of comparison.
This is more information than I've had since I've been on the board. Sharon's been on a lot longer, but
This is what we got in the attachments and everything on this email that we got is a lot more information than I've ever seen.
Actually, just 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Not even, sorry, Brian, go ahead.
And just a question on, and maybe Wendell, I would ask this of you, just because you have the most experience. Would you consider this an actual strategic plan or more of a campaign plan that they've kind of put through?
I mean, they market it as media strategy, and it's more of a campaign strategy, not a marketing strategy.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
Really quick, we are, I'm getting emails every day from businesses in this community who have had cancellations. We need to stay the course. We can't change horses right now. I recommend that we sign this contract. If it turns to be illegal, we deal with that when it happens. And we start preparing the RFP. We got to stop driving by looking in the rearview mirror and get on with the future. And this is a decent campaign. I agree, it's not fully a strategy. I think we need to work on a strategy, and the RFP process of looking at letting Love compete and other people will help us form a strategy and get a better campaign for 26. That's the reality. And so I think that we have to sign this campaign, because anything that we do, if we don't sign it, we're slowing marketing down in a moment when we're not at 500,000 yet, but we're at hundreds of thousands of dollars of cancellations in the last 2 weeks.
So I would like to address the legacy media spreadsheet that we added, because
2025
for
proposed media plan.
2025 proposed media plan. Wendell, do you want to, I'm happy to, do you want to talk about
I
it?
think, Ashley, to your point, we need to move forward, but there are elements of this that I think we need to discuss very clearly. But I guess first and foremost, Ben, we don't have we don't talk to Love. I think we're looking for your recommendation. So is what Love presented to you what you are recommending for 2025 in your department?
Well, yeah, I'm recommending it from our
Fully?
department for, because we have a spend and I think it's effective, but.
But I mean, each.
Well, let me finish.
So
But
each
also,
line item.
we came in here 2 months ago or a month ago and had the bylaws to find that you guys advise on the strategy and we try to be very amenable and say, okay, we'll shift gears. Like we've endeavored to get this contract in front of you, the stuff you want. We can have Love give a presentation to this board, a full presentation. They're willing to do that. So yes.
But I think my point is we're a board and we're trying to give you advice based on what you're giving us. And so you're the department head. And so you should be going through all of Love's and saying, okay, I agree with all of these line items. And then we can tell you if we agree or not, basically. I think that you're the experts. I like, you guys, you're the Moab Office of Tourism, you're the experts, and we are providing some
So let me put
strategy.
it in context. Where we had a wheel in the sand last year is we did not have a web presence that Love, National Geographic, and several others were able to bounce off of well because we lost resources, we were locked out. So we've had to do some catch-up work. This is part of putting in a platform that I think this is for where we are right now with the budget. This makes sense, and but if you don't like it, advise us and we won't.
Yeah.
We won't sign it.
Go ahead.
Wait a second. Okay, so there are 3 or 4 items in here that I think we need to address. We're running out of time. I want to hear from Howard also, but what I want to emphasize is I don't want another presentation from Love. Ben, I just want to hear from you. Like this Grand Circle full page, when I advertise with Grand Circle, they do the artwork for me. I don't have to pay a commission to Love. I give them the pictures that I want with Grand Circle. You know, I don't spend $7,000, but I don't have to run that through Love. I'm looking at some of these, I don't necessarily understand what Viant Conversion Lift. I'm guessing that's a tool that you use in your department to give us information. Is that correct?
Do you want to talk to that, man?
I know, I want to
What
hear
you
that
love with
from
the
you.
Grand Circle.
Ben, you just tell me. Just tell me what that is.
I'm asking.
No, I just want to hear from you.
So we have a strategy that we run all of our media by and add through Love so that it's consistent and that we're sending the same message everywhere. So that's why we're doing that.
Right.
And that's what Viant
That's best
Conversion
practice.
Lift and foot traffic measurement does.
I believe so.
Okay, so this outside music festival sponsorship, Denver, it looks like there are about 10,000 people that attend, and we're paying 110,000 for that, and 11,000 is going as a commission for Love. It just seems to me that we're
We're
paying.
not paying 110,000 to go to outside. We're doing the road less eat with them.
Okay, that's just, I'm
Yeah,
taking it out of the
yeah.
contract. I'm just trying to make this so we can, as a board, bite this into little pieces. But it seems to me that if we did some of this stuff in-house the way we used to do it, we could save, we've got $100,000 in commissions we're paying to Love for what we used to do in-house. And I'm hoping that some of these costs, instead of sending everything to Love, we can actually do that in our department, Moab Office of Tourism, rather than paying commissions on all these things. Go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, music festival sponsorship really stood out at me because I hadn't heard anything about that all of last year. And nothing against the music festival, but there are a lot of other events that happen, and that's a big chunk of change. And I agree with Ashley. We're in trouble this year to spend this money on a second-year event as a sponsor. Could we not use some more direct marketing or billboards, which are much more affordable, and use digital
So you said,
billboards
say,
instead?
we've never spent money on that.
It seems like a lot. I mean, it really jumped out at me.
You know,
Ryan,
and
go
I,
ahead.
yeah, I have a question right there. If you could actually scroll down just a little bit for me, Ben.
Scroll down.
I can't, yeah, if you could scroll down just a little bit more and down just a little bit more, keep going
By the way,
right there.
we won't
So
do the- we
looking
won't do
at
the-
that right there, I look at our paid search. It looks like we're at $81,000 right now. And I believe that you just said, Ben, that if we had $1 million more, we would place that $1 million inside of our paid search. I went
That's
and
not what
looked
I
at.
said. That's not what I said.
Did not say that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
did
yeah,
not
more,
say that.
more. Oh, okay, maybe I misunderstood you. I also went and looked at Kane County. Yeah, I also looked at Kane County as well, and their paid media search, which with a much smaller budget, is up at $300,000. Do you think that $81,000 right there is an acceptable amount to be spending on our paid search? And then second part of that question would be do you know what we spent in the previous year on our paid search?
Wait, I thought this was only $1 million. Don't we have a much bigger budget than $1 million? This is $1 million that we're breaking down. There's other millions.
No,
This is our
This
only
is it.
pay
This is it
for this year.
yes.
for this year.
Yeah, we're
Wow.
spending $81,000 on our paid search.
That's why when
That's
you
it.
talk about outside magazine being 10%, that's.
Why, so how did that happen?
So the outside was part of the co-op. That was.
No, I get that. Sorry. Okay, I'll figure that out. I need to get the backstory on that. But for the moment, I will say this about the outside event. It is, in the outdoor recreation universe, there used to be a lot more events, and because of COVID, a lot of them died. Outside Magazine has bought all these outdoor outdoor magazines, they have channels to every single segment of visitor who comes to Moab right now. They have backpacker and hiking and mountain biking, and they have so many pieces of it, right? And this event, while untested, is one of the only shows in town right now, because a lot of other events, I mean, I know there are other events, but it's the other thing I really like about it is it's regional, because it hasn't proven to be a whole national event yet, but the regional part of it is really good for us, especially this year. So
And what is our projection?
Question real quick is what is our, what is?
Brian, give me a second. We're losing control here. What's our projected return on that event? And then you can answer that in a second. Go ahead, Brian, because I know you're on a delay.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the answers to my first two questions. And then B, I would like to know what our average cost per click is on our direct Google spend, right? So if our cost per click is $1, is basically for every dollar that we spend, we get a click, right? You'll be looking at 81,000 views with that $81,000 spent, as opposed to the the outdoor festival that we're talking about, which is going to reach 10,000 people. How do those two compare right there is what I'm asking.
Okay, so number one, outside's on their media plan. We have not committed to that. We have not signed up or.
It's here on.
It's here in the contract.
It's on their plan of things that, like I said, this is not, you have to spend it. This is
their proposal.
This is a proposal.
That's what we're going
And
we have not.
Do you endorse this proposal? Is this, as a
Well, we
department,
want
is
you to
this what
see
you
it.
want to do?
You guys asked. for it,
No,
so we
I
wanna
want to
see it.
know, as a department, you're giving us this, and I need to know, and I'm trying to go fast so I sound mad or not
Here's what I
mad.
endorse, Lori,
Okay.
respectfully, is I endorse the contract and sign. I don't endorse everything that's on this list. I mean, I would want this board to say,
Okay.
I don't think it makes sense for us to go to to be a sponsor at the outdoor festival for several reasons. But I think we should understand that it's happening. That's our audience there. We went as a free attendee last year to see it. That is definitely our market. We should be sending someone to it. I don't think we should be sponsored there.
Can
So,
I answer Brian's
So-
question?
Yeah.
The cost of the clicks.
go ahead.
So Brian, all of those statistics and numbers, like when you look at the spreadsheet, this is a very simplified version. You're just looking at the cost. But in the media plan that Love gave to us very recently, because it was kind of a chicken and an egg where they were waiting for a number, but then we couldn't get a number for a while because we were waiting to hear from you guys. And then we said, let's try $1 million and see what you can come up with. All of those numbers, like what they expect to get out of this investment, why they're recommending that we spend as much as they're asking us to, all of that is in the media plan that they gave to us that we have given to you.
Okay.
So do you guys, so once again, do you know what that CPC is? I mean, even if it's a general range, I mean, I think that, on my Google campaigns, right, I'm looking at anywhere between 80 cents and $1. And it does have a range like that.
Yeah, so if you look in the media strategy presentation on page 22, it says paid search, media investment, $81,472. And they say that the summer fall search campaign had ROAS $19.44 to 1, making this channel one of the strongest in the media mix. So they don't give us an exact, like, this is what we think we're going to get out of it, because they're benchmarking themselves against what we've done in the past.
So the answer is they do not give us the simple, I mean, when I go onto my Google Ads, it tells me exactly what I'm buying, right?
Brian,
So
we will
I would imagine that would be communicated to us, or information that I would want to see as well.
What they have given us.
Yeah.
And so if you want those specific, what they've given us, why they're recommending these numbers, I would look to the media strategy that they have given us.
Okay, Brian, I'm going to move forward. My understanding is we want to approve the contract, but the contract that as it stands, this is just a proposed. Ben Frederick-Gill's office does not necessarily endorse doing all of these strategies. Those things can be addressed, so we don't necessarily have to hold up the contract. We can vote for the contract and then address individual concerns and tactics.
Absolutely. That's what
I'll
we,
make a motion to approve the contract.
I hear the motion from Howard to approve the contract. Is there a second?
With Lovely Communications.
should it,
From Ashley. Okay.
We might need to workshop the tactics or the budget.
It's just getting late in the year.
Let's call for a vote. Do we
But-
want to approve,
but we
all
won't,
those in
right?
favor of, excuse me?
but back to what we said when we started, this is going back a meeting where, yes, we're open that you are helping us strike. This is what's been on the media plan book. Like, I personally wouldn't endorse an outside festival, but the board may come back and say, no, we need to be there. So we would, that's where we're at.
It's your job to show us their recommendations. It's
Yeah.
our job to review them.
Yeah.
We might need a workshop to get into the weeds on pay-per-click and these different details, but I think we need to approve the contract today.
I call for a vote for, no, wait, I need to repeat the motion.
Motion to approve the contract with Love Communications.
The can we put a date?
No, you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Can you put a date?
Approve the love contract.
For
December
2025 with Love
2025.
Communications for our
Feels like a date.
media contract.
All right. The motion on the table that we are going to vote for is that we approve the love contract through December 31st, 2025. All in favor? It's unanimous.
May I ask a question
Sure.
of the county attorney?
Oh.
So Stephen,
Yeah.
if, with this vote.
Yeah.
If we can get this, we will leave here and put this on the agenda for the next commission meeting.
Yes.
We'll have a review by then that we're
Yes.
good to go, right? Okay.
All right.
Just don't be working without a contract.
Question.
Go ahead.
And then, Ben, when you do have a chance, maybe later in a follow-up email, if you could follow up with those two questions that I had asked you earlier, that would be fantastic. Thanks.
And I just had one question about the Epsilon thing. Those numbers, how much of that is spent for their services and how much of that are the actual ads?
Cool. Which one are you?
The Epsilon, that economic impact for traveler spend measurement, the display and video, how much is that for
Let me get
their
I'll get that answer
services?
for you.
and how much would that be for ads? Because that's over 25% of our total spend. And I just want to make sure that we're not paying too much for the actual service that provides us with data with not advertising.
A $27,000 commission for that big chunk. We want to make sure that we're placing the money the best way that we can recommend.
There's always a tension between metrics and measuring and how much you're spending to get those metrics
Yeah.
to measure
Yeah.
versus how much you're just
I
spending
mean,
on
how
advertising.
much of the actual ad, I mean,
Yeah,
how
we
much
need to focus
advertising
on
are we
those.
getting besides the data we're getting in
We
return?
got $1 million, period.
And then I agree that I think we
I
should
guess I
focus our,
didn't know that. It's
Our-
only my third meeting.
I know, I got it.
digital advertising.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 8, billboards, pages 51 through 64. Thank you. The billboards have been something we've discussed in 2 or 3 different meetings. The consensus previously was we need to hurry and get something better than what we have now. We talked about the Richfield billboard viability, which we're like, should we get rid of it? Do we want it? Let's spend the next 7 minutes talking about billboards and looking at the creative and get an idea of who likes what. If it's up to me and my taste, I'm saying we're gonna do the exact same billboard 7 times and just get the message out and not worry about which one goes where, and just say, welcome. That's my feeling of all the 17 different options that we've had, and keep it simple, but I will definitely entertain conversation.
Agree 100% with the welcoming, but on the airport, especially the outgoing traffic, I guess the north-facing board, if we had that, thanking people for visiting. You know, it's kind of an extension of welcome, but we're really grateful. It's just thanks for visiting us. You know what I mean? Like a word of thanks to our guests.
There isn't a snap going on, is there?
Yeah. It's
As they're leaving town, going by the airport. So when they leave, they say, thank you for visiting Moab
Oh.
as a exit. So they remember that.
I just said consumer law before.
Mick has information.
Go ahead, Mick.
And just to be clear, there are 4 boards here you guys to review and approve. There are 2 in town, 5, excuse me, 2 in town, 2 at Crescent Junction, and 1 in Fruta. There's not a proposal for the airport. the airport has to decide if they want to give us that board. And there is not a proposal for Ridgefield. So
Okay.
I would say
Okay.
let's review these boards and get a thumbs up, thumbs down, or further direction.
It's a good start.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I think on the number one, I think the orange is best because it's bright. And I think the white is boring and the brown is too dark and the blue is not really us.
Yep. I agree.
So I vote for the orange one. And I think that's once we get a little better strategy, we'll have a color palette and we wanted to make these kind of decisions at this board level.
Okay, Alex. Go ahead.
I'd agree with the orange one. I also would, I don't know, I guess I would want to see, well, there's time, but just the Moab, just like getting rid of the inside of O and A and B.
Mm-hmm.
I just,
I agree.
I feel like
I agree.
I'd rather just see the whole picture rather than, I mean, you can see it's clearly an O and an A and a B.
I agree. And
But
I
they're
can't
trying
see
to
what's
show that
in
we
the
have
O.
diverse- I can't tell what's in the
No,
O.
like just
either.
taking out
Just the gaps in the letters.
just
Oh,
like the inside
taking
of,
the little, I get it. You
Yeah.
want the picture,
I just want the
but you
picture.
want the
and-
little O, the
I don't-
little inside of the O gone and the little inside of the A gone.
Yeah.
And the inside of the B. I
Yeah.
get it. Good idea.
I personally, you can't see what's in the O at all, and you're going by, you got 3
Yeah.
seconds to see it
We
anyway.
need a brighter picture in the O that shows an OHV.
Oh.
That one's too dark.
It's, yeah.
The delicate arch under A, because it fits better.
And are we talking about what we want the tagline to be, whether it's discovermoab.com? Is that what we want?
If that's the name
I'm
of our
open
website,
to
we have to keep
discussions.
it there.
I just want to keep it simple, but go ahead.
If that's the name of our website, we
Yeah.
can't change that now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. if
Oh, the
that's what we
Discover
want.
Moab, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I
I know
agree.
that legally we have to have something that, like the chamber, or, I mean, like the
yeah.
logo or the website.
I don't know,
I
yeah.
like the welcome to Moab.
Okay, I'm making a motion to hit the orange one for number one.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, 1 second. So,
Vote.
yes, so the motion on the table is to move forward with the in-town north-south welcome to Moab, orange version, top left. All those in favor, say aye.
And I'm gonna amend the motion
Unanimous.
really quick to take away the little interiors of the O, A, and the B, and to replace the picture in the O with a brighter.
Okay, now wait a minute.
Sorry.
Maybe
You gotta
A to
repeat
A.
that for me
It's-
again,
It's like an
please.
arch, isn't it?
Motion.
The motion is
Fits
to
nice.
approve the orange billboard under option one, and to replace the photo in the O with a brighter photo, and to eliminate the O, the interior of the O, and the interior of the A, and the interior of the B, so that the picture are easier to recognize.
All right, so since we've already voted unanimously to approve those boards, what we now are voting, if you have a
Is on the
second.
amendment.
Do you have a second?
Do I have a second?
Yep.
Okay, great, Wendell, okay.
All
So
right,
the motion on the table is to replace the picture in the O, to eliminate the interiors of the letters and have the billboards not have the interior detail in the letters.
Correct.
Can I add one more thing to that? Can you switch the A and the B? So, because B is kind of like boating. So if you had a raft in the B, it would look good. It's kind of subliminal. And the arch does fit into the A pretty well because of the delicate, it's the
Okay,
shape
I
of the A.
accept your amendment, and so that's my amended.
So the motion on the table is to replace the O and eliminate the interiors and adjust pictures to have the most maximum
Right.
Sure.
Yes.
effectiveness.
Better contrast in the pictures, switching the B and the A images so that delicate arch is on the A for arch.
Do we have a vote, I call for a vote on the amendment?
Can I just make a comment?
Yes, you can make a comment.
We have to remember these are going to be on big billboards. I think you're going to be able to see the pictures better. I also think people driving are going to look at that and go, why didn't they finish the letters? They don't have the interior. Why did they just put that outline and not
Okay.
make it a B? That's just my
Okay,
personal
maybe we
opinion.
ask for a slight redesign, and we'd like them to consider these suggestions, and we can't have them show it to us again.
No,
There will be
no,
a bigger.
that'll take too long. How How about,
So, but go ahead, that was just my
No,
comment on it, and now everyone can vote.
we can have an amended motion of the amended motion.
Is there any universe where we could make these changes and give you 2 drafts with the spaces and without, and then somehow over email, y'all can say,
Okay.
It has to be voted, and we can vote as a group to trust that they're gonna do a good job.
Let's do that. Here are our suggestions, you guys make the final.
But we have to
decision.
have an official motion so we can vote for moving forward.
Yeah.
Right now, we have already voted to approve the signs.
We picked the orange one.
We picked the orange one, the welcome to Moab, the welcoming message. If we want to leave it, I don't even think we have to vote on this. If we want to leave that to staff, it doesn't have to be exactly as it is.
Agreed.
okay,
Improve.
I have the
Optimize
motion.
Now, I believe there are other signs, but I think
Yes.
we've only looked at the
Yes,
in town, so let's go to the next one.
this is great progress.
Crescent Junction.
No.
Nope.
Keep scrolling down in the PDF. In the
There's
one you were in with the orange.
okay.
Okay.
All right, so, oh, here we go.
Here we go. Crescent Junction,
Discussion.
driving on 70.
Yeah. I
Go
think
ahead, discussion.
background is kind of busy and I don't love that dark color and I think we should
Agree
stay
with
with the
that.
orange. I mean, if we're micromanaging this.
I think it'll blend in with the red rocks too much. It won't pop out at any.
Yeah, agreed.
There isn't a lot of red rock at the Crescent Junction, honestly.
Okay, so how do we move forward?
Well,
What's the discussion?
I think whatever is
Orange
decided, yeah, I think whatever changes are made to the first one, since this one is it should be the same
That's
graphics,
I think
Yeah.
same photos. I think the only real thing is, do we want to discover the wild wonders? Do we want to use that or welcome to Moab?
Show me the other one.
Turn right for
Actually,
adventure.
are those bikes on it? Are those old ones?
Yeah.
I think it's the more square.
What's a
The
turnaround?
bike is okay. The outfit's not great. The photo's a little scary because his t-shirt's showing his skin.
Can we do better?
We can definitely do better. I'll
You got
get
2
you better.
discoveries there.
Experiences, endless exploration.
I mean, what's good about that photo is it's high contrast. I can,
Can we use where adventure begins?
Does anybody have a preference for any of those taglines for the Crescent Junction? I'm hearing, let's go back to those taglines.
have we ever in our
Crescent Junction.
lives used discover wild wonders? Like when
Yes,
we're-
they use it in copy,
We do?
use it in marketing.
Okay,
Okay.
let's do another one.
Then.
How
then-
about experience visual, if I could go to the next one,
Endless exploration.
endless exploration. To Ashley's point, every kind of explorer. Isn't that, we're trying to attract all people? Every kind of explorer?
I kind of like that one.
Yeah.
It's simple, it's bold, as long as if we, I am not a mountain biking expert in any way, but if we have pictures that you guys find more appealing, are you open to receiving those? As long as it's not branding one company or not promoting, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean,
I think we're
something,
pretty close to putting these up. So if you have a specific request, I mean, I have your notes for the in-town ones, like replace the picture in the O with a brighter photo. I can follow those directions. But I need, like, if you like this one, we can put it, we'll make it orange and we'll put it up. Otherwise, I need specific direction.
okay, so if
And
we
the
change the background, I mean,
Yeah, I say go with the same orange color as the other one.
I agree.
is there a
And I'm almost
motion?
saying
I'd
all of
entertain a
that
motion
For all of the billboards.
for
Make
Fruta.
them the same.
Could you
Check
make
my
an effort to look for a photo where, the profile photo like that had, I'll try to, I don't even know what to say. I mean, we could get
You
a
want
better,
better,
mountain-
there are
yes.
a lot of
could-
Well, even one of the other, on one of the other signs, there's a better mountain bike photo.
There is?
Yes, go up one.
We have so many,
That's a better mountain
so
bike.
many available.
That's a better
It's like
mountain
the
bike
Starbucks
photo
menu.
there.
There you go. All right.
We have, is there anything we have air-based? We've got land, we've got water, but there's a lot of
That's a good
exploring
point.
the
That's a
air,
good
like
point.
ballooning, flights, skydiving.
Yeah.
The airport's kind of just as a side thought, it's one of the, you got land, water, air.
You can't really do it all in 4 pictures, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having like very similar, if not the same, like Moab outline. Maybe the wording could be a little bit for every Come Explorers and Fruta and Welcome to Moab is in Moab, but having a few different photos for like, one in Fruta has these 4 photos, and then one in Moab has maybe 4 similar but different photos. I like the idea of having a couple different options of photos.
Mhm.
Instead of having 4 photos on all 5, we can put,
24.
24 photos.
Which.
That's not a
But
bad
like, but
Yeah, these
similar.
all have different
They
photos.
all
They all have different.
I know, I'm just saying that I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, having different photos,
This
not,
was
not,
your
not the same
idea,
photo on
so-
every single one, so.
So-
Because someone's gonna
You're
drive
clear
to Moab
discretion.
and see 3 of the same exact,
Sure.
billboards, and if you're driving, you're like, oh, well, look at that photo, and then like, oh, they have the same thing, but it's a few different
It's the
photos.
same but different.
Maybe, yeah, same but different.
I think we could try it.
Let's have a motion to like either approve the every kind of Explorer or something like that for Crescent Junction. I'd entertain a
Did
motion.
you flip it? Number 6.
I make a motion that we approve the for every kind of Explorer tagline on the Fruta, Colorado billboard, but with the orange background and different photos.
And what about the Crescent Junction?
Oh, and the Crescent.
Fruta and Crescent
Yeah,
Junction?
yes, Fruta and Crescent.
I'll second.
Seconded by Howard. We might have to listen to the minutes on this one too, because what the motion is that we approve the Fruta and Crescent Junction billboard for every kind of Explorer with modifications of colors.
Colors and photos.
And photos.
Yeah, I need a little more specific
Okay.
on what photos.
Orange background,
Got it.
different photos for each different,
Right. which
Billboard.
Is, yes, right.
so
Yes.
there's not the same 4 photos on every billboard.
Okay.
What if we had a photo,
Is there a
Approval
motion? Is
committee.
that was a motion. I
Just
want a
minute.
second.
Howard
I second it.
It's Howard's. Oh, that's right, you did. Sharon and Howard. Okay,
so really quick discussion. Could we have, like, I'm a mountain bike expert, other people are experts in other things.
Climbing.
We can have a really quick, a committee that you send to that we have to respond to within 24 hours or close of business that day that says, is this photo current? Good.
no, because we have it in the whole board. we
Just because
can't-
of timing,
Yeah, if we wanna
wait
get
another
these
month for
out,
this, that means we're gonna be
it's
another
gonna
month
be
behind. So
December when
maybe
we get them.
next year, when
Okay.
we're
I
repositioning
would
these
just
boards, we can
recommend
do that.
looking at these photos and giving feedback on these. So like the M, can we use it? Is that a good one?
No.
G one, is that a good one? If there's one you don't like, just tell me and I can relay that info.
Yeah, that mountain bike is a old mountain bike.
You don't love the bike?
I can't.
Nobody likes the bike. This is-
Making a motorbike.
I don't like driving 97.
Okay, so we have voted to approve Fruta and, no, we have not voted. We've only got a motion on the table to approve Fruta and Crescent Junction. And now we're gonna, the motion's on the table. All those approved, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, that's unanimous. Okay. Have we completed the 4 options?
5, we're gonna split up
The
5
5.
billboards.
Okay,
Just to be safe, I'm gonna send this to you guys and then we'll get them up soon.
okay, fabulous.
Travel guides.
Okay, item number 10, travel guides. From what I understand, we're about to run out. I don't know what about to run out means. There's a lot of conversation about, that I'm hearing from people about amendments that need to be made, which I think you've done creative amendments. But I've also heard people say, don't print what doesn't look good. How about we just revise the whole thing and just run out when we run out? So these are all things I've heard through different channels. Does anybody have discussion about this?
The digital one will still be available, which is easier to work with, right?
We get a lot of orders for
As
these, so
opposed, because
we
when you
need-
print, you print. I mean, that's
Yeah,
it.
we print.
There's no,
We're not gonna run out. We didn't want to order more of this current version. We wanted to start.
how many do you have?
I'll go back, we have several months. We're not running out.
Okay.
So the primary purpose of this is when people click the box or whatever and give us their email address and say, yes, please send me, or their physical
We get a lot
address,
of requests.
please send me. So we send out the thousands of these in a year.
Yes.
Still, wow.
Mhm.
But do you use them at the minute?
we used to have them. I don't think we have them at the Mick anymore.
People are here, why would they need it?
Yeah. No, we have the other one that has all the activities in it.
Right.
Go ahead, Mick.
So the purpose of updating this is to include Utah Raptor State Park. I think that's a selling point, and it's not in here. Right now, we have dinosaur trails and museums. The idea is to update this dinosaur page, move it forward, and highlight the state park. In doing that, we do have an opportunity to add, update some text stuff. And for example, in the spreadsheet that was the board.
Can you show us the updates then? Do you mind? Sorry.
You know, there was comments on, can we get like a
great.
UTV instead of an ATV photo? These sorts of things are easy, swap it out. So we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to, one, be aware that we are sending these out in considerable volume, and then make any kind of easy, quick changes like text or pictures. And then anything else that we aspire to, I think Ashley might have put some other things into that spreadsheet, we could consider in our rebranding effort or further down the line as to kind of like, what's our story and what's like another more involved kind of page or something like this. So this is really photo text updates.
So can we see the creative, what it looks like, the fixes, what they look like?
He hasn't done them.
But we haven't done that yet.
Okay, and Rebecca, what is your, there's,
It's not in, I don't believe it's in.
This is not printed, right? That's why we don't have the update. But we do have an update to the guide.
Yeah, do we have the Utah Raptor mock-up? If you send it to me, I can put it up there.
I thought it was in.
so also, Rebecca brings up an important point. You might have it on there already, but it's in the arches section.
Timed entry is, yeah, it has dates in the time.
Timed entry is super outdated. The instructions are completely outdated. So,
There's
yeah.
a new piece, I'll email it to you guys, that there's 3 ways to go to Arches National Park. It's a lot simpler than anything they've ever produced.
And just for simplicity, I mean, I can add this too, but this was an opportunity for people to read it and log them in here, and then we have it in one place, and then we can vote on it.
Some people had sick kids and didn't log them, and I told them it was okay, it was fine.
No, it's,
yeah.
And that's a really important one. So.
I think the Delta Airlines picture is
Yeah, the
probably
Delta Airlines
needs to be
picture
taken
probably
out
needs to be
on
removed.
page 55. And maybe it doesn't even need to be a contour either, but just a,
Maybe just an airplane.
we don't have Delta Air anymore.
Blank airplane.
And then also my last thing was on the back page, before you go, it's about staying on the trail and minimum impact practices. And I think, if we're trying to attract people here, that's something that can be in here, but not necessarily the back page. If you're looking at it, that's your address. First thing you see is know before you go, not necessarily a welcome to Moab.
Oh, that's a really good point. Really good point. Yeah, we definitely want to change the back page.
Yeah, just because, that's the first, because this is your address. And you're looking at it and it says no before you go, stay on the trail. And that's not exactly what we're trying to put.
Yeah, I think that should just get eliminated and just
Well,
say,
no, even if we include it somewhere, but I think
Yeah.
that's that's your biggest real estate besides the front page.
true. And
Totally
on
agree.
page number 1, I'm going to speak to Mick's heart. Could we eliminate that font, that lovely font?
I really think that,
Is that part of the creative review with?
I really think we have to, it's our brand, and
That's our brand? I thought that was just a campaign.
Well, it's a
It's an
branded
ongoing
item,
campaign.
Yeah.
and I just.
Okay,
We
I
had,
hear you.
yeah.
I get it,
Yes.
but we gotta keep
Yeah,
going,
we can
so
delete it. I
every
think we
time
should-
you ask
I
for
think we
change, it's like
should-
a half a day for them to do the work,
Just delete it. Go
I
ahead.
think when you
In the past guides, there was always a listing for our vendors. So if you were, it was free, as long as you produced a business license to give to the.
It wasn't in
guarantee.
there.
No, I know, but in the past, remember in the past, they
That's
used to
in-
list,
That's in the guest guide.
but that's a private publication,
Okay.
you know what I
What do you
mean?
mean by
This is a
vendors?
public publication. So there would, all the vendors who pay the taxes that pays for all this, they were listed in there. So the restaurants and lodging and some services were there too. And it was an acknowledgement that they see their marketing dollars at work.
And it was, the reason they quit doing that is because people quit answering the questionnaire from the office, and then it would come out, they weren't in it, and then they were getting mad. Because they didn't answer. because it got so outdated for us using it. Phone numbers weren't correct, businesses weren't correct,
So they eliminated
It's
it.
definitely
So
something.
then
we
they
want.
just eliminated it.
And
And
it's-
that's
it's so
been
easy.
before any of these people. And then the reason is because the actual businesses weren't answering the, hey, you want free advertisement? Give us your information, we'll put you in here, and then they wouldn't answer and then get mad when their stuff
This is
wasn't.
Well, that's part
evolving
of
at
the
the
deal.
chamber level too. We used to print all this stuff with all these lists of everybody, and it's so easy to find people on the web that it's just not as necessary. I agree we should be thanking people, but I think we need to inspire and be making sure that each person understands how each of these things relates to them. There's a lot of work to be done on this, but for now, I move that do we need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, that we,
How many do you want? For how long do you want them?
I don't want them to go past 2025, for sure.
We only want to order enough to last through December 31st of 2025, at
Correct.
which time we will have something better to replace
And we
it.
will have ordered it and it will come on January 1st. Perfect transition.
Ashley has a motion on the table to print only sufficient of these with amendments to last through December 31st, 2025, at which time we will have a new beautiful product ready to go for 2026. Do I have a second? Second from Wendell. All those in favor?
I think this would be a good workshop too for producing, because other
And-
places.
Just
Sorry,
a clarification, are you going to do the reprint with these small modifications, or is the reprint going to be an exact copy of what we already have? And then
The motion
following that
was
up,
to-
oh, go ahead, sorry, what was that?
The motion was to do the reprint only sufficient for 2025 with modifications.
Okay, and then just a recommendation would be, especially if we are sending out misinformation about Arch's timed reservation, let's make sure that we send out the new ones that have the modifications first and save the other ones until the end when we're running out, right? So when we do get the new brochures in, let's make sure that we're sending out the proper information first and saving those other ones for something that comes in second.
Okay. Okay. On to item number 11. Simple View Summit 2025 approval sought for Mixed Deletta to attend. The comments that I'm hearing from people in the board is this is an internal decision to be taken to by Ben Frederigill, that thank you for letting us be included in this, but this is definitely your department that you should decide what your effective spend is for that. Is there any more discussion on that? Go
I'll
ahead.
make a motion for approval to send Mix Saletta to the Simple View Summit.
But that's not really our decision then.
Okay.
Then it becomes, if you want to make a
You said make
motion.
it in.
We only get to vote on billboard colors.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
If that is a management decision, I don't think if they want to use their budget that way, they should do that.
Have to vote on that one.
I don't think we need to vote because they've shown it to TCAP and we're all like, yeah, that's a departmental thing.
Yeah, we're not saying no.
Just
We're
ask
not
for
saying no
approval.
for sure.
So, yeah.
But when the commission says, did you run it past them? You say, yeah. we did."
That's right.
You brought it
Yeah,
back.
said yes.
Yes.
What do you think, Brian? Am I off base there to just say?
Nah, I think you nailed it right there. Thanks, Lori.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Item number 12, Search and Rescue SAR Podcast Project by Allie Hartford. Got 2 minutes to tell us about that one.
So I don't feel great about only having 2 minutes to talk about this, but I'll do my best. Was everyone able to read through the 3 pages that I sent you about this
Yep.
project?
Read it.
I think it's really important that you have the background and you know the goals and you know about this project before we start talking about it. And I also want to point out, and I hope that everyone had time to review the similar outdoor adventure podcasts that I linked and a lot of the other DMO podcasts that I included at the very end of this document. So I really only feel comfortable talking about this if everybody had the chance to review those and really think about this opportunity. Because otherwise I think it'll just feel really rushed. And I don't want this project to feel rushed because there's been a lot of effort and work put into it.
How much?
Well, Molly Marcello, if you had read the document, Molly has put in over 300 hours of work,
That doesn't tell me how much.
and she estimates that the project will take nearly 500.
I thought this was all paid for in
500 hours.
this was 2024 funded. It's all paid for and done in 2024.
Okay, so another thing that I pointed out in this document, this project is paid for through the Trails Department. The opportunity here is that we can market it. And so I really would rather talk about this if you guys had read through what the specific ask and opportunity is, but I'm happy to talk about that, but I don't think that I can do it in 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we postpone this for our next meeting.
Okay, great.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor of postponing to another meeting? Unanimous.
Thank you all. I appreciate the time that you would put into reading about this.
I will say, I think it's important as part of our, educating our guests on better use of land. So I do see it value of it so
I
you
think
know
there's a
that.
little, yeah, it's valuable. It needs a little reframing, which we could work on, which is another like really workshop kind of a topic that maybe we should track on.
Yeah, and I have a question. It looked like there was also some deliverables that were missed by KZMU on this contract as well. Is that correct, Ally? And that this is an extension on that?
Yeah, so this is an extension of the project, and I'm happy to talk about that too. We bumped into a lot of kind of roadblocks in working through grammar requests and getting around, we're talking to search and rescue, so we have to go through HIPAA, and so it was difficult for Molly Marcello to get the right permissions to be allowed to talk to these people and publish their stories when they're going through emergency services.
Perfect, thank you. We can discuss that at the next meeting. In the sake of time, I'll save my questions till it comes
And
back
it
up.
sounds like Trails is already responsible for this and marketing it on their own. It's just if we want to market it more through TCAP or whatever we are now.
So they don't have a marketing budget for it, but the work is paid for through their budget.
So the work has been done. Okay, let's go to item number 13, Crux Academy project. Mick is going to speak to that one on page 76 through 88.
Yeah, I sent an email about this to some context on the project, background, and where we are. It was live. I invited you all to view the trailer at least. It's a series of 12 videos. It's complete and live on the Crux website. Part of that contract was $10,000 to market the program, which has already been paid. So Crux has now come back to us with this marketing plan. In the interest of running everything by you guys, we want to make you aware of the course and the effort to promote it. I'm mostly thinking if all of a sudden you saw something, you're like, what is this? I've never heard of this thing. We just kind of want to make you guys aware of it, and then give us feedback and direction.
What did the $10,000 get us?
There are 5 activities in here. It's some social, YouTube placements, strategic partnerships, some thought leadership stuff.
So the 10,000 was for creative.
The 10,000 is to manage this plan in this proposal. So in the beginning, we can start at the top. Social media. Let's go down. Here. So he plans to engage, I think, 3 influencers. So you select an influencer, and let's say it's a world-class climber, and they're going to talk about the videos, put it on their handles, in the interest of driving traffic and awareness of maybe an individual course or individual class in the course or the entire course. They might choose a UTVer and say, while you're out tearing it up in Moab, here's some things to keep in mind. So that would be one activity, which has not been done yet, but would be administered by Crux Academy.
Okay, wait a minute. Sorry. Wendell.
Well, I just think that this was a joint project between this was paid for, it's all done with Grant County Active Transportation and Trails. The videos are great. I love them. I think they're fantastic. They're all very informational, how to stay on the trails, how to pick up your own poop, how to do those kind of things, which are great. But I think this is more the remit of Grant County Active Transportation and Trails, not promotion. And I would think that that would be their responsibility for channeling marketing for this. I don't think it really fits in with promotion right now. I think it's great to have, and if we have the actual assets, we can look at where you can incorporate them into the website. But in terms of the marketing budget, I think that's more about Active Trails and Transportation decision, not ours.
Do you have a motion?
So this should be part of the mitigation spend then, as
Exactly,
opposed
yeah.
to marketing.
Well,
spend.
it's already been spent. I think
It's already
he's just
been
asking
spent.
for the marketing, if we approve the marketing budget, and I think that, or how they spend it, and I don't think that's really our remit. I think that's more the Active Transportation and Trails.
What
Yeah,
is the question that we're actually being asked to answer right now? Should we market this?
That's the marketing plan that's already been paid for, and you're asking for approval for it. And I think that it was a joint project, and it's all about instructional videos on how to stay on the trails.
I get all that.
And so I think that, in my opinion, since it was a joint project with Active Trails and Transportation, it's more of their remit than ours.
I get that, but I'm still confused about what we're being asked to do. I get it that you're saying it's their thing, but what are they asking us to do?
Review and approve market plan. Review ownership of assets and management.
Okay, make what?
Go ahead.
This one, it's a little foggy, just because
Thank you.
we've all inherited this, right? They've been doing this for 2 years. It's done, it's live.
Yeah.
We keep hearing, have you run it by the TCAP? I was looking at this being rolled out and thinking, you're gonna see something on our Instagram and be like, what is this, right? So I really wanted to inform you of it. And I don't think it's totally clear what is being asked of you.
I don't want to use marketing money to promote
in the
that.
sense
I
of,
want a welcoming
is
message.
is it for you to say yes or no to? I mean, I think we just wanted to tell you that this is
That was
something that's
going
in
on.
our office and get your feedback. I
We
hear
didn't-
what Wendell's
okay,
saying.
Wait,
I think-
wait a minute. We didn't put this agenda item on. This was added by your department to find out if we approve the marketing plan. I'll entertain a motion to either, we've got 1 minute, right? I'll either entertain a motion to table this. We can approve more money to market this. We can make many motions, but we've got 3 minutes.
Okay, here's an idea. If we did a workshop to talk about this and the crux piece, and we look at these a little deeper, the content here and the assets that they have created, we spent money, we bought them, they have value. But they need to be pitched totally differently. We do not need the generic Moab visitor to really get into this deep of stuff. Like, we don't want to scare away the sightseers, but if a sightseer person sees this stuff first, it's like, this isn't for me, I'm not going out. But the backcountry traveler, this is really valuable for. So it goes back to that, understanding our personas and our different customers and communicating with them in different ways. I think that I think we should have a separate little workshop, anyone can come, where we talk through both Ally's stuff that she was going through and this, and we think about how can we reframe these existing assets to be effective with the welcoming message, or to make sure they're going to the right markets, the right target markets, the backcountry traveler and the people who really need this. So that's what I would recommend.
I'll make a motion to table the Crux Academy project.
And you have a second there?
I said.
All those in favor of tabling the Crux Academy project without spending further marketing money until we discuss it again in various forms?
I'm still.
All those say aye. Opposed?
So,
Those who, we got to get a vote on who wants to table this and bring it up in a different meeting.
I think we have to table it, but I'm not agreeing that we should never spend any marketing money on it. We might be able to, but definitely we should have to table it.
Okay.
I'd like to see some examples of this Crux Academy's work elsewhere to see as a benchmark of what
You
it
can
produces,
join-
what,
It's
you
in the
know,
Google
what are
Docs.
you can go onto their website, you can have joined,
Okay.
and you can see all the videos of everything else.
Okay, thanks. I'll do that.
Lori, just to clear something up really quick. So we have our paid media, which is the Love Communications Plan, but then we also have our owned media, and projects like this fall into that bucket. And so we want to keep you guys updated on all of our channels. Paid media is through Love, owned media is like websites, social media, and these types of projects. So hopefully maybe that clears it up a little bit.
Right, but the way it's.
But thanks for doing that, Ally. We really appreciate it. Ashley, I do think a point of order, Lori has asked that we do move things along. So I think that we should try to get through a couple more of the agenda items or close the meeting at her discretion.
Let's move on.
Let's make a vote.
We already voted.
We've already
Okay.
voted.
I-
It's already voted.
I don't have a count on who voted to table. Who has voted to table this till the
But we're
next?
just voting to table.
Right.
This would-
Is that Wendell, are you tabling?
Um,
Are you
yes.
opposing?
Yeah.
All right. It's 5:00. Is there any person that can no longer attend to continue for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
As long
No,
as you
this
need
is going to be 10 minutes at least. Is there anyone who needs to go? All right, we'll extend 10 more minutes. All right. Let's go to number 14, Contour Airlines 2025 marketing budget, page 89 of 82. We're going to review the 2025 marketing budget and strategy and potential for a proposal for matching. Who is in charge of that?
It's kind of between the two of us here. I can, so basically Contour has 25,000 every year that they want to put towards marketing, and we met a couple times to discuss this. Some folks from the airport board, including Jason Taylor and Ally over at the Mott office. And they've got 25,000 to help promote flights. But what we would like to ask the MTAB is, can we match that to 50,000 to actually get the word out for the Denver? It's mainly for the Denver flight, and that's the biggest thing. So we had a little bit of a marketing strategy from Love, and they put together a quick plan for us. And you guys could have read through that, and that's it, basically it.
2 questions before Howard. Love showed up. Who invited Love?
The airport board? It was between the the airport board asked Mott to talk to Love about a marketing plan for their.
And so Ben, you approved that?
Because it's Contour that's paying for it.
So out of the 25,000 that Contour pays, they will pay Love out of, for billing, for the creative and all the
We
things.
don't have any crew. They, correct me if I'm wrong, but the board asked that you come to us to ask for marketing. So we gave marketing ideas.
No, wait a minute.
But,
The airport board contacted you all
right, and asked for.
and
help with
asked
this.
for help to have Love come. So those billing hours will not go
They will not go against us.
against us.
And
So
they're actually not charging us for
Yeah,
this.
they're
So
not-
their
we're not
media
getting billed
plan
for
is full of 50,000. So they're not taking a commission for this.
So let's talk about the 25,000. Let's look at where we're going with
Yeah,
the
just to be clear,
25,000.
Larry, we did not approve any spend out of our office for this. They asked us to have a meeting.
Awesome. Howard,
How much was the subsidy received by Contour Airlines to fly this air service?
6.2 million.
6.2 million is what they
$6.2
get
million
paid.
they received. Why are we being asked for anything since they've been subsidized by 6.2 million?
So
Well, they have a
Contour-
lot of operational costs to come out of that. Sorry. It's not.
So Contour gives our airport $25,000, and the airport is coming to you all to ask if you can match it. So nothing's
This is-
like, you're not,
It's basically not Contour, it's our
And-
airport.
And just
yeah,
just
so the
because I
25,000 is like free money, and they're coming to you to try to match it to see if you can promote it more.
I would like to see what we're doing with the 25,000 before we consider any additional funding.
Right, so this
It's
is,
not our 25,000.
right.
Well, but do we get to see what we're buying?
Well, yeah, so Love made a plan, and that's what's being presented. And so this is just a one-pager. I condensed it for you. It's a very similar looking presentation to how they style their media strategies. At the very top is a link to that presentation, so you can look at all of it. But they tell you exactly where that money's going.
So is Contour spending this money then?
So Contour
Supporting
gives our
$25,000.
airport
They're asking us to
$25,000
match
for
it with
marketing. They do it every year.
Does
Last
it
year we bought
come out of
Travel
$1
Zoo
million?
with it. This year we're going through Love.
When,
Go ahead, one.
I just, my only thing is promoting one company, that it kind of sets a precedent if we promote one company over, and I know there's only one company doing it. I just wish it was promoting the flight, that you can now fly to Moab from Phoenix and Denver. You can, fly direct. I just worry about spending money to promote Contour Airlines. That might be a precedent we don't want to set, that we're promoting one single company. I would like.
And just sorry, go ahead, Wendell.
I just think I would love to see promoting the flights to Denver and Phoenix, that this is easy. Let's get people here. That's what I would spend more than $25,000 on that, but I just have a problem with Contour.
That's actually a misconstrue. So $25,000 has to be used to promote Contour because they're giving us that money. But the airport board is coming to you to ask for another $25,000 to promote the flight in general, and promote, like, here's how you can get to Moab. We're going to make a landing page. There's different engagement points. So yes, $25,000 from Contour will be used for that. But the airport board is asking you all for another $25,000 to promote coming here in general.
And I'd like to just throw in one little quick clarifying thing right here. So our paid media search is $81,000. So this is over 25% of what we're using of our paid media for one company. Is that correct?
It's not, Brian.
This is completely separate.
Where is this?
No. I understand that, but if we're only spending $81,000 on a paid media search, correct? Right? And now the ask is that we're going to also spend $25,000 for this one ad. In relation, that does seem like it's a little bit out of line to me, but that's just my opinion.
To my understanding, that's not what's going on. Airport marketing is a separate line. We have our own paid media strategy. This one would be completely separate.
In my opinion, I think there are too many of us who had too big of an agenda that need to review this further, and we should table it and come back to it.
Can I make one more comment first?
Go ahead.
This isn't new. We have done this with them before. We have matched the 25 that whatever airline was there got. We've matched it. We have advertised and we've done every stuff in the Denver airport already to get people to fly on it.
Well, it's good to hear. I mean, that's what I want to
Yeah, it's not a new thing.
Yeah.
We have done this in the past.
Is there a comfort level of everyone with what it is that you're spending 25 grand of taxpayer money for? Do you feel comfortable with what's going on?
Yes. She
Go
explained
ahead, Ben.
So just to be clear, we've never out of our budget given money to these airlines. Last time we were asked to help facilitate, we got Travelzoo with Contour paid for
I
that.
remember that part.
This year, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, the board came to, will you help us again? In the meeting, it was like, what's the best way? Our question, what are you trying to advertise? Are you trying to tell locals that there's a way to fly out? Do you want to put advertising in Denver? What's that?
They asked us for marketing
Yeah.
advice.
So in that meeting, the airport board said, maybe we should ask TCAB for matching funds. We didn't, that's not our strategy. That's the airport board asking. So we're merely putting that in front of everyone for the airport board. We're not pushing, or we're willing to help however, but we don't have something in our strategy on this.
My family has probably flown Contour 14 times in the last 12 months. I come from Phoenix. I had huge high hopes. The 45% on time performance is not awesome. Do we want to help? Yeah, we want to help, but I think we need some guarantees from Contour that we're going to get some better performance out of this. I would entertain a motion. Like I said, 6.2 million is the is the guaranteed air service contract. I'm an old airline hag. I'm all about airlines, and I know that there are other airlines that are waiting in the wings that would be happy to resume service too. So if we want to vote on this, I'd entertain a motion. If we want to talk about it in another meeting, go ahead, Ashley. We got 1 minute.
The question is, do we want to promote flying to Moab? I totally agree with you about Contour. We need a better performer. It's been a tricky contract compared to Delta, and that's a different problem. But right now, any opportunity we have to tell people that you can fly to Moab, I think we need to take. So I think it's separate from how do we feel about Contour and could they do differently in the other contract. It's an opportunity. Somebody's doing an ad campaign, we have an opportunity to amplify, and that ad campaign is saying you can fly to Moab. And I think people need to hear that. So that would be the argument for doing it and voting on it now.
I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'm gonna move that we do this. I'm not really clear where the 25,000 is coming from, however. No, but the matching, where does our match come from?
Contour.
I mean, it's TRT
That would
money,
be-
but what line item?
that's, this board has to decide. if they
This
wanna
is
do
exactly
that.
what
That's
Brian
this is-
Martinez said.
this
It's
is
coming
the
from paid
advising.
media.
No, we don't know that.
That's what we
Sorry.
just found out.
Yeah.
But
this
it
is-
could be going into paid media, right? Like we are
Well,
making a decision right now to basically say that this $25,000 which looks like it's actually a lot tighter budget than we think, right, is going to be going to one company. That $25,000 could also easily be moved into a paid media campaign.
Okay, I do push back on that. It's not going, you guys think it's promoting Contour. It's promoting that you can fly to Moab. I think it's really important to understand that difference. And if we want people to know they can fly to Moab, which we kind of need them to know right now, I think we should spend this money. But because I'm making that decision in a vacuum, I'm not clear what the other opportunities for this 25,000 are, because the way we're making these decisions is so tricky. I mean, we're supposed to be, so it's hard. I guess, I mean, I don't know where we're taking it from, but if it's available and we could spend it now instead of kicking this can down the road again and not spending money promoting this now, I think we should do it.
Brian, is there any way that, from a commission standpoint, that we can identify factually where funds are flowing?
Well, this is the media plan. Contour is outlined in the loved media plan.
It's already in there.
And so it is already in there as one of the line items.
Right. Good
But
catch.
it's, I mean,
But
obviously.
it's to be decided by.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
The
this
25.
is one that was asked, and it was asked, will you ask the TCAP? I personally am not excited about spending 25,000 to be spent in promotion, other promotion
Okay.
on I want to say that before this gets put out there, is but I also think that you as a board need to have this discussion. Is this about getting people here? Is this about filling up an airline? So I appreciate that someone asked in your board, and I think it should be up, but we are not pushing to spend $25,000 of our budget to match Contour.
And to clarify to Brian, that it's on top of the 81,000.
Yeah,
It's not
It's
within
in
that.
addition.
Yeah, it's not within that 81,000.
Yeah, I understand it's on top of the 81,000. I'm just saying that it is a choice, and I just wanted
Yes.
everybody to realize that it is a choice of where we place that $21,000 or $25,000.
So, to point of clarification, the $25,000 contractually that Contour contributes to advertising is going to be administrated by the Moab Office of Tourism.
No.
No, we've been asked to help them spend it. Last year, we helped them, we pointed them to Travel Zoo. We'll
So,
give them recommendations, but we don't touch their money or the billing.
so it doesn't even belong in our 2025 proposed media plan, because
That's our 25.
That's our 25,000.
That's the
That's our
matching,
matching.
so the matching amount is in the plan. Okay, so I now that I realize we have more discretion over this and it comes out of our 1 million, and because it feels like we have concerns about it, maybe it's a bad idea, but gosh, I hate not telling people they can fly to Moab. I hate not amplifying that message.
I am with you.
I agree with you, Ashley, but I mean, I just want to make sure that we understand that it is, that there are limited resources, and when we make these decisions, we need to take into consideration the limitedness of our resources.
Right, but when are we gonna start
It's only in
spending?
the.
Sharon has comment.
Actually, I would like to make a motion that we do not match the 25,000, but we let our group help and advise Contour Airlines on how to advertise to get people to fly.
They've set out a plan here, at least for a 25,000, that their plan is for 50. Do we want to?
No, that's not our plan. That's the plan for Contour. That's not for us.
Okay, so tell me your motion one more time because I messed it up.
I would make a motion that we do not make the matching 25,000 at this time, but that our office personnel has the leeway to help and advise Contour Airlines on how they can do their marketing plan forward.
Do we have a second? The motion currently, okay, we've got a second by Wendell. The motion is to allow the Moab Office of Tourism to advise the airport, not the airport, the Contour Airlines on their $25,000 advertising spend, but not match at this time. All those approve? Ooh, that's tricky. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5, and then Alex dissents. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I believe that at 5:15 that we should adjourn this motion, this meeting. If you want to continue, I would entertain a motion to keep going. It's a,
I make a motion to continue until we finish the agenda.
all right, those in favor to continue? All right, here we go. And if you got all right, so we would like to hear the Salt Lake Off-Road Expo review by Ben Frederigill.
Okay, so, as many of you know, that at the Tourism Down the Hill, the founder, Ted of Salt Lake Off-Road Expo saw our trail ambassadors and then came and talked to our booth. Was explaining that there was a opinion that that group was not welcome in Moab. Said, how do we fix it? He said, come speak at our conference. So net, we bought 2 booths. One, the GCAT ambassadors motorized had 1 booth. We bought another booth, split the attendance so that there'd be no issues over general fund versus tourism promotion. We had very good interaction with the attendees. It's a show attended by about 36,000 people, a demographic that spends a lot of money on their activity. So a very high visitor spend model. We were given the opportunity to give a presentation, which we gave a co-presentation the first night. I think it was received well. And we were told that they appreciated us coming down and doing it. So that was the story there. I had to leave on Saturday, but Kelton finished out the show, said that good interactions, good turnout. So that was that. Lori was there with Scott. A lot of Moab presence down there. So I think it's one that I would recommend that we definitely attend next year and go with a pre-plan and a good strategy. And hopefully we can present again. So that's Salt Lake Off-Road. Does anyone have any questions?
What did we spend per booth?
We had a discount, so I believe they gave us the booths, one price of 1 booth for 2. We each spent $500, I believe, to be there.
Okay. And my concern is moving forward, we had that booth after 4:30 in the afternoon. There was nobody there to man it except Kelton. Maybe not spending the money on 2 booths, just, I understand that you didn't want to have general fund versus promotion, but if there's nobody there to do the promoting because their job is not to promote. So here we asked them to promote. So we spent the money and asked them to do a job to try to split hairs. I would say we save the money and just either figure out a way to do 1 booth and move forward or find a way to staff it properly.
We can do that next year with some support. The problem is the commission was the ComAdmin was very concerned about the fact that we were going down together. So that was done to erase any doubt. Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, Next one is 17 ITB Berlin updates from Ben. Key
Number 16.
contacts made and takeaway. What's that?
Number 16, Utah Stories.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Utah Stories.
Okay, so Utah Stories, that was an interesting week. On a Monday, they came and met with us, or met with me late on after work, and said that they probably wouldn't be right for us at this time, but there was a lot of push by our comm admin. There was some endorsement by some commissioners and others that thought this was a function that our office should be doing to help promote tourism. So we moved quickly and approved doing a out of process advertisement with them. The advertisement actually ended up being an advertorial. It was done quickly. It is one that we would not do normally that way, but luckily we had really good staff that did fact checking and made sure that it came out okay. Based on how it was presented, we did it as just a phase one. So just do 1 month, we'll get it in place and see, add it into our metrics, see how it performs before boosting or extending it or going with it. But like I say, there was a lot of endorsement from our commission admin and some commissioners to do it as a spring promotion to try and get people from the Wasatch Front here. So it's in play, it's been done. We will review it and put it out to everybody. So that's net on that one.
How many times does this get published a year, this Utah Stories book?
I believe their takeaway is either quarterly or half year, but it's not one that popped up as one that was well known and stuff. So it's one that we used our what do you call it, the short deadline budget for. And I think we'll watch how it performs. And I'll just like to leave it at this. It gives precedent for, it's better for us to work more in process with our team and trust our team skills to do these very well.
And how many people see this? Is it Utah only, or is it?
It's Wasatch Front market. So I will give you the metrics. We showed it to our media buyer, trying to find out early if it was a good deal. There was a short deadline, it was rushed. So it was one under the gun that we supported. Was not supporting it would have probably been the worst decision, and yeah, we'll show how it works.
But maybe you can look at it when
Yeah.
after.
Can we see the copy? I mean, that.
Yeah, well, I want
It's
everyone
moving
to. I would
forward.
like.
He just wants everybody to know that
Yeah.
that this happened.
Okay, it's happened.
Okay.
It publishes monthly.
Monthly.
But they have a big takeaway, their prize piece that, we'll get to that. And it's boosted digitally with Reels, so
Have a look.
we need to get the metrics.
Awesome.
Okay.
So that's just the update on Utah Stories.
Thanks.
Number 17, update quickly on Berlin, the key contacts and takeaways for market strategies.
Okay, this is pretty important. So you go to the next slide. As you know, we talked about who would go. We invited TCAP, in the end, Mick came. I think it was really good to have staff there to understand how competitive, how big a deal this is. We met with 19 travel planners, 3 tour operators, 3 media professionals, our OT, our UOT press person, and Visit USA, who we were there with, who is connected to our German UOT partner. The meetings, here's what the learning is, and we knew this from a conceptual level from being at Go West and IPW, but the tour planners and the tour operators, or the tour planners, travel planners, are B2B and B2C. Very much in Europe, it's a travel agency model. We use that to create the demand. The thing is, these guys are where we need to be presenting a longer itinerary. This is this is, one of the questions was, you find that a lot of your people that I wish I'd known there was all that to do in Moab, we would have stayed longer. These are German travelers that are for the most part coming as fly, first in travel, fly drive. They're on 19 to 22 day average trips, and they're spending usually 2 days here, maybe 3. So that's one piece of it. The other piece are the tour operators, the receptives. So as we create the demand with the tour operators, it's really the receptives that are providing the bookings and such. So the receptives are buying the rooms, and the tour operators then call them, they're basically a wholesaler. One of the issues, and we kind of have heard this anecdotally, but we got a good feed of this from them, is our inventory here for 3-star hotels is starting to get pricey. And the customer is starting to say, we're paying a lot in that model for just 3-star hotel. So it's starting to shift more towards Kanab and other places where the price is lower. Where this really hits us is with the bus tours, the group tours. We're learning that from Go West that a lot of the group tour is not even coming here anymore, that we're losing a big number because the prices of the rooms have just gotten where they don't model correctly, so it doesn't make their package work. So they're bypassing us. They started bypassing the restaurant model a while back. No more large group fee. It was, we'll get you there, but you're on your own for the night. Walk around, find your own restaurant. So this is something we'll work through the chamber to start talking to hotels and the different managers to say, are you connected to receptives? Are you wholesaling or in that game? The other thing is, this is very important for the excursions and the activities. These tour planners would love to say, oh yeah, we gave you an itinerary where you can go horse riding or rent a UTV or go on a UTV tour. But these tour planners don't want to work directly and be calling the different vendors. They want to be able to go to the wholesaler and have the wholesaler working with the tour planner. So I think we have an opportunity there to really bump up the way we support the supply chain out of our DMO.
Tell me how?
Are you
the wholesaler?
No, we become the matchmaker. We just merely go and say, hotelier, are you talking to these 5 receptives? Tour company, are you talking to these receptives because they're going to call you to book tours, and we just need to make sure that we are finding out that these matches are happening. We become that introducer and then get out of the way.
So are you having an appetite for moving forward to represent, because as a DMO, you've said, no, we only represent Grand County. We don't represent vendors. It sounds to me like you might be shifting from that idea.
Well, we don't want to say, oh, you're coming here, use this vendor. We want to go to all the vendors and say, do you know about this function? Are you connected to all these receptives? We want to grow the pie, not a piece of the pie.
No, that's fine.
So, okay, a couple things. One, the chamber is working on the pricing model. We had a conference about it. It was really well attended. It's called revenue optimization in the hotel world. And where do you price high early or high later and low now and higher later or whatever. And so that group is going to be an ongoing meeting from that workshop or training. They want to continue to meet. So I'm hoping.
Okay, to interrupt,
Yeah.
where we're going with is, so we met with one of the wholesalers for bus tours. Mick very astutely said, hey, would you ever make a trip here in the winter when it's cheaper? We could get you rooms. Let's start talking now. I mean, bring your jacket. They would build a tour possibly for our winter off seasons. That if we can go match make, we'll get out of the way. But it promotes creating a different kind of tour coming through and allowing these guys, do you know that this opportunity exists for you to sell wholesales of rooms?
Sure.
And the pricing model's fine, but that's amongst the hoteliers and what they've got to do, basically the way it works for the wholesaler, is they buy 30% below rack rate in the season, and then every transaction downstream is 10%.
So what you're not interrupting the value chain. What you're trying to do is get more of our hotels into this program. That's what you're saying.
We're trying
So
to create demand on the tour side.
Sure, I
And
get
then
it.
supply in the wholesale side.
Right,
They're all going to
and
China
develop,
right now.
and develop better multi-day itineraries
And
for bus
Okay, we gotta
tours.
move this along.
So-
Okay, go
So
ahead,
that
Howard.
was,
Go ahead.
This was an international market for international travelers. Could the US dollar be one of the, because it's been so strong, is that one of the deterrents? Or
there's a lot of deterrents, but
Big
part
time
of the
right now.
problem
The
is-
tariffs are the problem right now.
Did you have a comment?
People are furious.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to move to the next, because we're half an hour over here. I've got the Moab Office of Tourism reporting, review potential new monthly reporting from the Moab Office of Tourism to TCAB. And we have been provided with some fabulous examples, as Alex pointed out, of other communities and how they're doing their reporting. The one in Jackson was particularly good.
This is actually, I'm sorry, yeah.
Go ahead.
This was the Moab, this is them reporting. This was
Okay.
To us.
Well, so this doesn't relate to what you put in our Google Doc for all these fabulous, like Bend, Oregon and all of that,
No.
and
That's this stuff.
I think it's both. I think Mick has
Okay.
been trying to stimulate that conversation throughout the past few weeks. But then when we met Lori, you and Wendell had said that those tax numbers that I identified that Stephen put together in those sheets could also be some of those indicators you might want to use. So that's why that isn't there. But I think that talking about like Bend and Jackson, I think that's also part of this conversation, just wasn't part of the packet.
Alex, you had brought up some particularly nice, it was just really streamlined and nice, the one that they did in Jackson, the way that it was set up. I don't know how that could incorporate, you probably have some ideas on that.
I'm sure you've looked at it, and they, or I wonder if you could pull it up. Visit Jackson Hole, visitjacksonhole.com. And then the data and reports page.
These two items, it seems like it's a little bit tied to number 5. I think that's what you might be referring to, Lori, where the subcommittee is kind of identifying metrics and reporting. It's additional. But really, just for you guys to say, this is what we want.
Yeah.
If you like Jackson, it's like, we want this reported on monthly at the TCAP meeting, in our packets, like, work on that metrics that you guys feel responsible for or want to keep tabs on. We'll get that going.
I guess I know we have some metrics on our website. I just looked at this and I thought there was like it was nice and interactive.
Are you talking about the data dashboard?
Yeah, data dashboard. And then scroll down and click on economic. So each of those, there's KPIs for everything there, and they're very interactive. You can go.
Sure, this makes us look cheap. Look at the room rates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
500 a night average.
Jackson's
Yeah.
expensive town.
But you can flow your cursor over each of those and it gives you, specifics. And that's just one. I mean, there's probably 24 different metrics to look at. It even has, in the next, so back out of that, hit environmental, scroll down, you see like transportation, they've got traffic, they've got electricity, fuel, they have, there's like enplanements is on one of them. So it's kind of like everything all together in one. Anyway, I thought it was pretty good model.
So I've been working very closely with our Symphony group. They are an arm of Tourism Economics. They're the ones that provide our current dashboard. We have a new dashboard that I think looks better, reports on more numbers. I think what would be helpful for us is if this board determined what those KPIs are and what report format they want to see, then we can tailor that dashboard so that
every month. You don't even have to wait for us. You go there, those numbers are ready. We already have a lot of that data, but it's more about getting it to a point where it's useful to this board. So there's a lot of ways to visualize things, but what's going to be most useful to you all. So that's a very fruitful discussion for us, and we can tailor a dashboard around it.
Go ahead.
I would really like to see month-to-month totals like January and compare that to past years. And that could be internal. That's not something you maybe put on the general website, but really a high-level look at what months are we really seeing a big downturn. That helps us with our marketing plans too, to see where the needs might be.
And once we have 6 or 7 years worth of that
Yeah.
data, we just have to add the month to month.
Yeah, so
You
what
know,
we
it's
did
kind of like a
January,
static thing that we can
past
just
5
refer back to.
years,
How are we doing? How are we
this
this?
January.
But it would be awesome if I mean, I know in the past that you have had interp of all the data and all of that, but if we can look at these things in advance, I think it saves time in the meeting.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys are heading in the right direction, but now we need to let you know which one we like the best.
Would it be possible to send out these numbers in our packets? Because thanks for getting your packet out early too, but just so we have chance to review it before the meeting too, so we're prepared.
Absolutely. Yes. And then just so everyone knows, so this is how our dashboard stands right now. It's a very high level. And then what I'm working on getting us towards is this multi-view that, similar to what Alex was showing us, has different data sources in different parts of the economy. So right now, we've got a redesigned overview dashboard. Sorry for this thing on the left here. Minimize that. That gives our different summary numbers, things we're watching, aggregate occupancy numbers, DMAs, spend, gives us different filters. And then we can also click into different tabs. So this will be like zeroing in on those lodging numbers. We have visitor spending as well. Soon we'll have another tab right here that gives us tax numbers and that you want to benchmark against that. And also our public lands usage. So my goal right now is to get as much data on there as possible. But I think that as we get closer, when you all decide what those finer numbers are, we can make it more tailored so that the moment March 1st comes around, you know you can go and you've got January's data.
Go ahead, Ashley.
I think this is super, super important. I think there's a lot of misinformation about our economy going around, and I think to support our elected officials, they need to have the real facts, the real numbers, and the real trends, because making decisions based on anecdotal information is really dangerous. And I think, but I think there's also a little bit more interpretation that could come there, and the chamber's working on that, because there may be some things that, like, we want to start looking at trends and looking at causes of trends. And right now, I've got 20 emails from chamber members that have had significant cancellations in the last 2 weeks. And I don't know yet whether this is like how bad it's going to be, but it's hundreds of thousands. Like when a group of 20 cancels 3-night stay at your hotel, it adds up quickly. And so it's not affecting all of our businesses. It's not affecting everyone the same. And I've had several notes to me directly at the chamber saying, we're not coming to America because we're mad. And so hopefully we're going to get through this, but and hopefully it's going to be relatively minor, but it's certainly a headwind right now, especially when we look at where our spend is that we need to do right now. Like, we need to get domestic visitors to Moab ASAP, because we're definitely not going to be able to. We're getting both Canadians and Europeans that are complaining.
So where do we want to go with this? Are we happy with where we are since we've had all these days to analyze this information? Are we satisfied? Is there something we're lacking? Do we want to revisit this? Does everybody have the bandwidth to look into this during the week?
Letting Ben continue to work on Symphony. Once you have a more finalized product, we can look and see what's available to us. We can decide from there what we have asked for on a monthly basis.
Sure. You could expect that at your next meeting.
And interpreting the trends, not just data points too, because just a number by itself is, hard to understand.
And thank you this is more information than I feel like that we have had in 2 years. Thank you. And if we can look at like 6 or 7 years worth of analysis, because I kind of throw the, I'm not throwing anything out, but we had a spike. It was an anomaly. I'd like to look at before and after.
Absolutely. 2 years of anomaly.
Yeah.
Just take out 20 and 21.
We want to it's easier to analyze what was happening and where we're going if we have a broader bandwidth. Okay,
And of what? TRT?
of these things, exactly, these metrics,
restaurant.
That's what we
TRT,
really need to know, like, TRT is
TRCCA.
an obvious one, but we need the list of what you guys want to monitor.
Okay.
And then give you the report over 6 or
Then we
7.
gotta see if we can get Stephen Valls and stuff to help us mine it, because there has been times there's been gaps that are tough to fill.
Okay. We're working on it together.
And looking at these projections, if these numbers are correct, we're in deep trouble because we're showing negative growth this year, and that's negative growth after negative growth after negative growth. Weighing in for inflation, we got a lot of marketing work to do.
If we can move to, I agree. If we can move to agenda item number 19, Director's Report, if we can have the update on removal of responsible recreation from marketing materials.
Yep, so we're tracking that. It should be removed. Well, we started removing it from well before we were even asked to. So I would just ask that we're looking, we're inventorying, tracking. If you see it somewhere or we've missed it somewhere, we need you to notify us, so.
All right, thank you very much. If we can kind of skim through, I've heard a little bit, Ashley's given a board member report about the chamber. Does anybody else have anything essential? Okay, go ahead.
I'll just say that anecdotal evidence, I asked Rocky Mountaineer, we're about to start operating. Their numbers, they're not seeing any cancellations, actually. They're actually noticing, and they're a Canadian-based company. Next week, there's a major announcement. I can't tell you what it is, but if anybody's concerned about international relations, just wait for next week. It should reassure you that some relations are great, despite what's happening in DC.
Go ahead, Sharon.
So their numbers aren't down. We have a lot of international travelers too.
Yeah.
At the MIC, for the first 10 days of March, we were up 10% in
Wow.
visitation.
Oh.
A lot of people coming in, asking lots of questions. So then I wanted to let you know our hours right now are 8 to 5. Starting March 23rd, well, just before that, Arches National Park Visitor Center is staying in their winter hours 9 to 4:30 until the end of April. iSky Visitor Center is staying 9 to 4 till the end of April. So because of that, starting March 23rd, the MIC will be open 8 to 7.
Can you tell us how many, I've had a really hard time getting layoff numbers. I have heard 3. I've heard different numbers. Do you know?
There's the layoff or the firing ones that isn't the big deal. The big deal was them not being able to hire seasonals. That's why the March 23rd is a date. March 23rd is when their winter seasonals go away. They were not allowed to get the hiring of their summer seasonals. So there's a gap because now they can hire them, but government takes at least 3 to 4 months to get a seasonal person in there. So there's a gap. They figured they are allowed to hire seasonals now. They have reached out to the people that had their seasonal jobs already approved, and some of those are coming, some of them aren't. So they're thinking until the end of April, they're not going to have all the seasonals they need.
Is there any chance that they would delay doing timed entry until May 1st?
They already got reservations for April.
Yeah, they already have all
That would be
reservations.
bad for us.
Yeah.
I mean, the people who have a certain reservation are coming to Moab because they have that reservation. If we suddenly said, sorry, we're getting rid of your reservation.
It was just a curiosity if that would help their.
No,
flow.
there is,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
you
make it
take
worse.
reservations in it. I am still, even though it's only an 8-hour shift, well, 8.5-hour lunch for my staff, I am still having 5 people a day out at Arches because, just for an example, Sunday, we did over $20,000 at Arches with 3 people. I can't do that to my staff. I am predicting we are still going to be busy, even though the visitor center hours are short, we're gonna be busy. In those short times, it's gonna be bam, 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 bam. So I have them working there, and then I have some of them coming, because I normally have 6 or 7 people out there a day. And then I have the rest coming in and helping at the MIC, because we're gonna be busy in there too. Sure.
It's really hard to say.
I'm going to pass and suggest that we do consideration of future agenda items by email. Thank you so much for staying 45 minutes later. I know we had a packed agenda, and we will sort through some of these workshops so that we can be more efficient in the future.